Really excited about what we're about to see out here today.
Ballydale's 150th game, so a milestone for the Bulldogs. He leads the team out onto the SCG. A milestone too for Robbie Fox at the Swans, his 100th AFL game. We'll talk more about him in just a moment, but Marcus Bontempelli and Ballydale lead out the Western Bulldogs onto the SCG for this Sunday afternoon fixture. The other experts' chair is occupied by former Eagle and Swan, Callum Sinclair. G'day, Cal.
Thanks, Spriggy. Are we excited, guys?
We are.
Because I come into this media box and it just, to me, felt like a bit down, not excited. I'm excited. I've had my sausage roll, my killer python. I've got 2 bottles of water here.
You've got an awesome, clean,
RM Williams. RM Williams.
Very
pumped. I've been at the QBE suite downstairs.
Stop naming brands, for God's sake.
I'm just saying, guys, get the vibe up.
Yep.
It's going to be a great game of footy. I'm pumped to see how the Dogs are going to go today. As Spriggy, you said, their form the last kind of month has been super. And I'm not going to pump myself up, but I have said all year, I think the Dogs match up the best against the Swans in the competition. Bontempelli's going to be a handful for that midfield. You know, the Swans midfield not that they've had their own way this year, but they've definitely been in control for the big part of it. Joel Amati is a big one for me. We want to see him probably, his form's definitely been down since that 9-goal haul.
4 goals in 5 games since he kicked 9.
Correct. So, you've thrown me there, Garbs, mate. I had a nice little monologue prepared. But anyway, guys, super excited. Happy to see the crowd out here on a Sunday. Very windy out there. Took the dog for a walk this morning, and it was horrible. Anyway, I'm keen. Let's go.
High energy guy, Callum Sinclair. Hey, on the Bulldogs, though, they're out there first, as we said. Keen to see how they use Rory Lobb. You mentioned a few of those key position players. He's been playing down back. Got the better of Jeremy Cameron last week, but now that Liam Jones comes back in today, how they structure up down back especially.
Yeah, well, and Sutter, I want to have a chat to you about this, but he's been a centre-half forward, full forward for his entire career. It's the transition to go in defence is not, in my opinion, it's not that difficult. You played as a key forward, you know the patterns that are very familiar to yourself, and the reality is they can't handle up as a 3rd or 4th toll down there with Rory. It's not unlike Luke Beveridge to experiment, and for now it's going quite well.
Yeah, it's probably been a little bit surprising to see him go back there and play as well as he did, certainly last week. Rory Lobb. I mean, he stays back, doesn't he? When you look at the Bulldogs forward line, there's probably not a spot there for him.
No.
Anyway, with Norton, Sam Darcy, Ugle Hagan, like they're the 3 players that you need. So, I mean, well done to Rory Lobb to be able to go there and, take on that role. And, today's not scary matchups for him either. Amati probably not in the hottest of form as what we saw probably over a month ago. Logan McDonald has been fair the last few weeks, but Rory Lobb with his teammates and with the midfield battle we're about to see, I think he's going to do a great job.
Callum Mills leads out the Sydney Swans onto the SCG. There's a few coming in late. I mean, it's Sunday Arvo. It's a beautiful day for footy. We'll get downstairs with Poppy Penny shortly to give us the conditions update. It is a windy day, as we touched on. Crowd's still coming in. I know you got stuck in the march to the match Saturday amongst all the Swans faithful, where they go from their club headquarters to the SCG. But we've had a few sellouts. I don't know if they're going to nudge that today, is what I'm trying to say. But the Swans are out there warming up as well. We say it's 3 losses in that past month, but they're all by a combined total of 5 points. What is it that they're not doing in those tight games, the Swans? Because they aren't having tight wins either. In fact, their closest victory was the 14-point win against the Bulldogs back around 11 at Docklands. What is it about the close games for the Swans that it's not going their way?
I think that's a tough one. I mean, they've just come up against some good opposition. You can't be up all year, all season. You're going to have some lulls at some point. And the Oppo probably come in pretty hot for you too. So, if you're the team to beat, everyone's going to step up. And I think that's what's happened the past few weeks. They've just coming up against teams that really want to take them down, being that major team.
And I think for the majority of the year, Spriggy, they've probably been the most healthiest side in the competition. I think last week you probably give them a pass. That was a terrific effort to stay in that game with the amount of concerns they had on the injury list the first half. But I think the reality is the better you play, Sato, you summed it up perfectly, the better you play, the more you become hunted.
Yep.
Unfortunately for the Swans, you don't want to get injuries at this time of year, particularly in that forward half with Papley kind of out for 6 to 8 weeks. I thought the Corey Warner decision ahead of Luke Parker was an interesting one. I could only imagine what Luke's probably thinking. He doesn't want to sit in that sub position for too long, Spriggy.
Yeah.
But they've got a bit of work to do with the Swans, but probably their starts as well. I think they would probably admit that their starts haven't been the strongest in the competition, but the strength of that football team is they can score quickly and heavily.
We'll see if they can start hot today against the Bulldogs, who are out there warming up at the Paddington end of the SCG in their usual blue, red and white tricolours. Robbie Fox playing his 100th game today for the Swans. It was Harry Cunningham a couple of weeks ago playing the 200th or last week, and we speak about unsung heroes, especially in the back line. Robbie Fox is one of those guys who's had an interesting career. Tasmanian coming through to the VFL, is not a big name player. How is he, I guess, regarded by the Swans faithful?
He's a reliable guy, and he probably found himself for the first kind of 3 or 4 years of his career unsure about where his best position was. He was drafted as a forward. If you look at his highlights from when he was drafted playing for Coburg in the VFL, he was taking hangers, kicking bags of 4 and 5. He's then kind of, I guess, found that niche, particularly in 2022, of being that, to be honest, ferocious kind of penetration off half-back. But I kind of feel a little bit sorry for Robbie, to be honest. I think the surge of these young guys like Blakey off the half-back line, Florent, you've seen McInerney kind of take that position on the wing. It's been hard for him at his age to kind of really cement himself. But look, the reality is that Robbie, with his talent and the way he plays, there wouldn't be many teams in the AFL that he wouldn't be starting in their best 22.
It's an amazing story, though, because I spoke to him this week. He said he was honestly playing footy with his mates at uni. Coburg called him, thought he'd give it a go. He said to me, I didn't think I was playing well at Coburg when the Swans picked me up. Struggled for a game in his first 2 years, yet John Longmire kept him on the list. Has been given 1 year rolling contracts pretty much the whole way through.
Yeah.
And now he's notched up 100 games at the team that is clear at the top of the ladder. It's quite remarkable how he's been able to survive. And he said, to be honest, I reckon if I was given a 3-year deal, I'd be out the system because I might have got a little bit complacent. And I actually thrive playing on the edge, waking up each week, not knowing if I'm going to have a spot in the team or a job next year in the AFL.
No, I think he's probably being a bit kind. I think if he got a 3-year deal, he'd be happy as Larry. But no, you are right. It's definitely one of those stories that probably doesn't get talked about enough. He's a quiet achiever, Robbie. The reality of that's just the reality of him as his personality. Interesting with him, he's a qualified school teacher.
Yeah.
So on his day off, he goes and teaches at I think it's Surrey Hills Primary, and he's a casual rotation. So very active in his life, kind of post footy. But he big thrill. He always used to be hilarious when we'd have like a club engagement or a clinic, and they'd be like, "Look, there's Mr. Fox. There's Mr. Fox." So the kids believe him now that he's a Sydney Swans player.
The Swans will also pay tribute to Sam Reid, who retired during the week, and obviously he's played over a number of years, a decade and a half at the Sydney Swans, a premiership player in 2012. Hasn't added to his career tally since that 2022 grand final. He's had a lot of injury setbacks late in his career, but he'll be a player that he gets a farewell lap today, Cal and Sato, and he's a player, another player that the Swans fans love.
Yeah, and I mean, burst onto the scene, a young player, great set of hands, really looked like he was going to be the dominant forward for the Swans for 10 years. Unfortunately for Sam, just the injuries just kept cutting him down. It's had a fantastic long career, but the injuries just really crawled it through the back half, and it was really hard for him to get on the park. But well done to Sam Reid and a great career.
Yeah, it certainly was, and far better bloke as well, Sam. So I really do hope the Swans crowd does get around him. He was a massive part of 2022 of getting them to the grand final. He had an outstanding season that year. People forget he was centre forward in 2012. I think at age 19, I think he would have been. But he's mate, he'll be okay. Whatever he does, he's ridden the property wave of Sydney the last 15 years.
I did see one of those realestate.com articles about his property in Coogee or Clovelly or somewhere, and I thought he's doing okay.
Yeah, he's doing okay. But he's a pleasure to work with, and I really do hope the crowd does get around him at halftime today.
The opening bounce is just a few minutes away here at the SCG. You're with Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair. The Swans, for what it's worth, have won 3 in a row against the Dogs. They lead the head-to-head 6 wins, 4 losses, or 6 wins for the Swans, 4 wins for the Bulldogs since the 2016 grand final, of course, that historic day for the Dogs and that drought-breaking premiership. Cal, Sado, as the teams complete their warm-up, give us your final couple of points on this game and where it is won and lost today. Because as you say, Sado, the Dogs are a red-hot thing. They would come here knowing they can push for the top 4, perhaps, and dismantle the Swans in this current form line. So where do you see today's game won and lost?
Yeah, I mean, midfield's always important, but I think we've got two teams with stacked midfields. You know, they're going to go at it. They're going to get their job done. I think it's about which forward line or which back line can hold up. You know, for the Bulldogs, that forward line of Norton, Darcy, Ugle-Hagan, Waitman, you know, that's stacked full of talent. They can kick goals. Can the Swans, without Rampy, can they hold up their end of the bargain and actually contain what the Bulldogs have ahead of the ball? And on the flip side, the thing that I reckon may hurt the Swans, we'll see what plays out, is Tom Papley not playing. He's a barometer. He's the energy. He brings that real enthusiasm.
He's the Callum Sinclair of that Sydney Swans team.
Absolutely. So without
the ABC box,
without Tom Papley, you know, do the Swans have that energy up forward, or will the Bulldogs be on top down back? So, you know, I think it's which forward line gets a hold of the game, which then, of course, as to which back line can hold down the other team's forward line.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the Swans forward line, you know, they're out of form. That they've got, you know, McLean, McDonald, and also Amadi. I think it's going to be hard for them. They've got obviously Jones and now who was the other big fella we were talking
Lob's
about?
down there.
Lob down there is now. Lob down there as well. You know, it's not going to be easy for them. I think if I'm just looking at the Western Bulldogs, mate, they're absolutely stacked, and I think we've had high expectations for them really all year. Adam Treloar's going to be one to watch for them, but I couldn't agree more. The Swans forwards have to start well. They've got to get in the game early. They've got to compete. One thing to mention as well, the Swans to me look a little bit sore, and I think they probably had conversations internally. You know, do they rest guys like Grundy, Haney? Now with the 3 or 4 injuries they've got, they haven't got the luxury to kind of do that. So it's going to be interesting to see can they hang on for the last part of the season going into September, whereas probably the Doggies kind of getting to full strength, to be honest.
Well, Hayward was the other one who didn't train Friday, Garby. You know, how is Will Hayward? And, of course, Cal, I can't believe you haven't mentioned it, the ruck clash. Yeah, English and Grundy, you're normally all over this.
I'm trying to grow my, I guess, my spread of discussion. I felt like Garb's a bit of my silo for for a couple of years now. I'm trying to diversify out there. So I'm going to today. There you go, Sado. Yeah. I'm going to focus on small forwards today. I'm going to
lean on your strengths as well, though, mate. Don't forget your strengths.
Speaking of small forwards, Poppy Penny is on the boundary for us this afternoon. Marcus Bontempelli has pointed to the round weekend. Poppy, what's it like down there?
That was such a dig. It's actually quite nice and sunny. Much like last weekend at the showgrounds, it's fairly windy, but unlike last week, the wind is pretty consistently coming across the ground from the commentary side, so it's going to be pretty blustery, I think. It's not too bad where I am in the crowd, but it does look like it's going to come across the ground for kicking and that sort of thing. The bench for the Swans, Hayden McLean, Callum Mills, Braden Campbell and Mr. Fox in his 150th game is starting on the bench. Luke Parker is the sub, as you mentioned. And for the Dogs, Sam Darcy, Buku Karmas, Caleb Poulter and Riley Garcia start on the bench, with Caleb Daniel coming in that sub role.
Great stuff, Poppy. More from you throughout the afternoon here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. So you tip the Dogs?
I tip in the Dogs, yep.
Cal?
I'm going to stick with Saturday. I'm going to go the Dogs as well.
I'll just say the Swans for the hell of it, but it'll be a fantastic game.
Sorry for having an opinion.
This is Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport, and here is Daniel Garb.
A sunny Sunday afternoon in Sydney. Can the Swans extend their lead at the top of the ladder? Or will the Western Bulldogs surge into the top 8 continue? What a ruck battle we have. Tim English and Brodie Grundy. Grundy palms it down to Taylor Adams, looking for the clean clearance. He gets it to Florent, guides it to centre half forward. Bailey Dale's there. Couldn't quite collect the football. Liberatore does. And to the left foot of Marcus Bontempelli. The Dogs go into attack. Norton takes a strong mark. Contested at left half forward. Plays on quickly. Drives it towards Ugle-Hagan, but he overcooked it. And Matt Roberts takes the deep defensive mark for the Swans.
Roberts to Florent. Has an enviable stat of having the most defensive half turnovers in the competition. This is a neat kick, though, to find his skipper in Mills. That's Jordan down there at left half back. Jordan comes up to the wing. Grundy in the contest. Wins it down here. Heaney dummies the hand pass. Left foot kick, wobbles towards Amadi on the half volley, awkward pick-up. Lob was there in defence for the Bulldogs. Shares it with Treloar. There's the first of his touches this afternoon. Sweeps it wide now for Jones, and he was pushed off the kick out there by Haywood. It'll trickle out towards the logo here again. Grundy got a shove. Hand pass comes to Goulden, but will come back here for a free kick going the way of Ed Richards and the Bulldogs. So, defensive side of the wing with the Bulldogs ball. No change to the score. It's currently the Swans and the Bulldogs yet to score 70 seconds in.
Interesting matchup on Blakey playing on Riley West. Blakey very, very proactive on it at the moment.
And James Jordan is running with Ed Richards, who has the football at the moment. Kicks to half forward. Norton gathers it again, just outside 50. Handball to Riley West on his left. Open goal square. It's across the face. And bounces through 4A behind. So the first score of the game goes the way of the Bulldogs. And the son of the gun in Riley West. They are one behind. Swans yet to score.
Aaron Norton, very dangerous early. It's big matchup, Tom McCartan. Norton's got probably the best set of hands in the comp, bar Jesse Hogan at the moment.
Roberts called a play on across the D50 here for Harry Cunningham, the milestone man last week, and now Florent marks at right half back. And the bright sunshine here in Sydney. Meanwhile, early stages, final quarter at the MCG. Collingwood leads Richmond by 35 points there. The first of our 3 Sunday games. They're on the wing for the Swans. Down here for English and the Bulldogs. Sweeps it wide. Bontempelli gets away from Chad Warner. Kicks inside forward 50. Waitman is back there. But it was a punch coming late from McCartan. Through from on a score. Bulldogs have 2 of those. Swans yet to score. 2.5 gone opening term ABC Sport.
It's a good point there, Sato. The reality is Norton's got the hold of Tom McCartan probably the last 3 or 4 times I've played him. So probably a bit of a tough night in the bed last night for Tommy.
Blakey, accurate kick out of the defensive goal square to find Lewis Melican at left half back, just inside defensive 50. Kick up the wing, looking for Brodie Grundy. English is there with him. It's over the head of the 2 ruckmen. Amadi tackles English. We'll have a ball up on the wing. So the James Jordan tag on Ed Richards is interesting. So not Bailey Dale, not Bontempelli, but Richards is the man that the Swans have identified.
Rucks, Grundy and English go at it. Liberatore on hands and knees, shares it with Treloar. Comes back to Treloar now. Quick kick from Bailey Dale. Inboard now, and Norton lands on his chest. 55 from goal. They're all streaking back there. Norton goes to the pocket. Ugle-Hagan in the contest with Melican. Second, third bite as he paid the mark. He is. Jamara deep at right, full forward. Either it was the mark or the chopping of the arms from Melican. Either way, same result. A set shot here, deep in the right forward pocket at the round weekend for the Bulldogs.
I thought Melican got first touch on that.
Ugle-Hagan, preferred left foot. Snap, opens up the angle and makes no mistake. Bulldogs 1-2-8. The Swans yet to score. Hot start for the Doggies. 4 gone to the opening term. ABC Sport, your experts, Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington.
Well, the Bulldogs so far just winning the ball around the ground and getting inside 50 and looking very dangerous. Aaron Norton's had 3 touches already, a couple of marks. He's the man that's on fire really. Ugle-Hagan one-on-one able to beat Melican, and even Waitman flew for a mark earlier. We spoke about before the game. It's the Bulldogs forwards really hold the key to this game. Can the Swans defence hold up? So far, they can't.
And they're competing really well. What I'm liking, Sato, is the separation that they've kind of got. You're not seeing them cross over. You're seeing Norton just playing probably a little bit higher, and just that sliding out the back there is Ugle-Hagan, and I'm sure Darcy and Waitman will be popping up shortly.
Norton's come to the bench for a rest. 3 disposals, 3 inside 50s, a couple of contested marks. Bouncing ball in the middle of the ground, Liberatore with the clearance. Inside attacking 50 for the Dogs, who've got the Swans on the back foot. McCartan couldn't gather it. There's a tackle on McNeil. We'll have a ball up inside 50, 40 out from the Dogs' goals. They are 1-2-8, Swans yet to score. Ball thrown up quickly. Grundy down to Heaney. Bailey Williams gathers it though. And now Treloar with the composure, spots up something he likes and finds Caleb Poulter just outside 50. At right half forward. The long-haired Bulldog plays on now, on his left, into the pocket. Waitman's there, Heaney's under pressure, got the handball to Blakey and to Cunningham in the right back pocket.
Cunningham assesses the options, goes long beyond defensive 50. Wicks gives a nudge down there on Dale, follows up there, but Bramble comes through hot. Slips the tackle down there, does Bramble. Points it back towards half forward now. They go inside forward 50s. The hand pass can come back to that man on the run from the left forward pocket, and it's missed short side that time from Garcia. So it's a minor score again, 1-3-9. The Swans yet to score. 6 gone in the opening term on ABC Sport.
It's just looking much stronger in the contest at the moment. The Dogs, they're breaking tackles. You've seen Bontempelli break away before. The Swans just need to lift that intensity and that hardness that they're known for.
Inside 50s, 6-1 in favour of the Bulldogs. Roberts goes long with the kick after the behind, but Liam Jones with the strong mark opposed to Logan McDonald on the wing.
It's like they're setting up the under-10s wall, Sato. They just Swans can't get it above halfway.
Dogs go inside 50 again, and it's marked by Darcy. Tom McCartan misread it, leapt early, and Sam Darcy, he doesn't have to jump much, he's that tall, but he didn't have to move. Put the arms up, took the mark. He'll kick from just inside 50, slightly worse than a 45-degree angle to the left.
These 3 players, not the guys you want getting touches, Sato. Nope. Darcy, Waitman's flown, Ugle Hagen, Aaron Norton's on fire. I think if you're the Swans coach's box, you'd be a little bit nervous with your defenders at the moment.
What a talent this young man is. Sam Darcy's kick is across the face. Swans fail to clear it for a rush behind, so it's still in dispute. Blakey's handball straight to Ugle Hagen. His quick snap is up and under. Bouncing ball, Waitman gathers it, toe poke towards goal from just outside the goal square is through for a behind. So the Bulldogs, 1-4-10. The Swans yet to score. Sydney under all sorts of pressure early.
Yeah, got to weather the storm, the Swans.
They've barely had the ball in their attacking half. First 5 scoring shots of the game going the way of the Bulldogs. Blakey kicks out here. Has a bounce. Buys some space in the left back pocket. Pumps it long to the members' wing. Grundy, towering grab. Can they surge forward here, the Swans? 8 gone in the opening term. First 10 points of the game going the way of the Bulldogs. Short kick to his fellow former Magpie and Taylor Adams.
Look defensively on the Dogs, don't they, Cal? They're just setting up really quickly.
Yeah, Adams walks around Liberatore. Kick was smothered down there. It was great work by Sam Darcy. It trickles out towards Poulter. Little 1-2 hand pass here. Poulter's kick goes high towards half forward. Waitman. Blakey back with the flight, but Waitman follows up. Fires the hand pass back to Treloar. He can get around Roberts. Back to Poulter. Pops it inside forward 50. Going low down there. McCartan in the contest with Ugle Hagen. And McCartan sees it out of bounds. Not before he gets a big shove. Big bump from Jamal Ugle Hagen as well. So he scored the only goal of the game so far, Ugle Hagen. It's the Bulldogs who are on early. 1-4-10. The Swans yet to score. 8.5 gone in the opening term. ABC Sport this Sunday afternoon.
SCG a little bit quiet. Shell-shocked early. The Dogs have come to play as we expected. Grundy palms it down. It's inside attacking 50 again for the Bulldogs. There's a whistle and it's a free kick to the Dogs. It's going the way of Ed Richards. For a hold perhaps. So Richards, it's not beyond him off that fancy left foot of his.
Yeah, I think it was from a hold. Obviously the close check-in of Jordan just overstepped the mark.
So Richards will strike this from 52. Runs around on his left. Oh. It is looking very good indeed off the boot. Sails straight through. Lovely strike, Ed Richards. Bulldogs 2-4-16. Sydney Swans yet to score.
We could talk strategy and tactics all you want, but that was a terrific strike with the boot from Richards just outside 50. That was very low and penetrating, but I think what I'm liking, Sato, is just the repeats that the Bulldogs are getting. It's probably hard to discuss and display on air, but they're set up defensively really, really strong. You can just see all 18 players on the field are gelled together. They're moving. They're working within their zones. Swans just a little bit slow to react. They just can't get any kind of clean ball, any drive. To be honest, they can't even get it above halfway. They're getting intercept marks against them, so we're pretty tough as a Swans forward at the moment.
And obviously down back to... This is where the loss of Dane Rampy's big, not just because he's a great one-on-one defender, but his leadership there to help set up that defensive 6.
Experts Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair on ABC Sport. Back in the middle, Grundy and Darcy. Down to Richards, wrapped up down there by Chad Warner. Last week, Richards had 29 disposals and a couple of goals in that win against the Cats. Linya Park. All up the middle. Laid down here for Mills, clearing a path. Garcia over around the football though. Goulden doesn't. Shares it with Blakey. Off half back here the Swans. A hurried kick to the outer side. Corey Warner's out there with Bramble. McLean had it bounced towards him. Shares it back to Lloyd. Hand pass back to Corey Warner. Little 1-2 ball there again with Jake Lloyd. Under pressure here as Lob comes off the line to meet him, and he's wrapped him up. Footy's come loose. Ooh. Umpire says let's ball up. So we'll have a ball up. Defensive side of the wing for the Bulldogs on the eastern side, who lead by 16 points. 2-4-16 plays the Swans yet to score. 11 gone opening turn.
Free kick here going the way of Sydney to Grundy. The chance to go inside 50 for just the second time in this game, Sydney. Grundy will go short instead to Errol Goulden. Dogs back in numbers, frustrating Sydney's run early. And they've now smothered the Goulden kick and won it back on the wing. Excellent setup from the Dogs. Ugle-Hagan to Waitman. Gets it back. Looping handball in the middle of the ground. Riley Garcia manages to get free of a tackle. Melican leads Vandermeer to the football though. Excellent second effort again from Ugle-Hagan. And then McNeil. Well, they are defending strongly from the front. Ugle-Hagan in particular with the smother and now the strong tackle on the wing. Ball up just forward of centre for the Dogs. 2-4-16. Sydney yet to score.
Up it goes. Grundy and Darcy. Darcy follows up. Grundy meets him again with a tackle. Ball up again.
Pressure's through the roof. You mentioned Ugle-Hagan. Rory Lobb had a tackle as well. So it's not just their smalls that are making the tackles either.
Grundy goes to gather. Goulden tunnels it towards the boundary line. Over for a throw-in once more.
Their pressure's unbelievable. They're so well set up off the ball, but their pressure at the contest as well as the lead at the moment, the Dogs. And the Swans just have no answers. They can't get any run. They're panicking. They're frustrated.
Darcy and Grundy. Bounces free. Picked up by Lockie Bramble on the wing. Does really well to get free of a couple of Swans and drive them inside 50. It's a free kick. Going the way of the Bulldogs again for a hold on Norton, I think, against McCartan. So Aaron Norton back on the ground after his electric start is causing problems once again.
This hasn't been a good start from Tom McCartan. A clear free kick there, just holding the left-hand jumper shoulder. Not sure what kind of area you called that, but Norton's had 3 marks. He's getting inside 50s and now he's lining up for his first shot on goal. Tom McCartan probably needs to have a word to from the coaches.
To make it 3 goals for the Dogs before the Swans have kicked one. That's a poor effort from Norton. That's right across the face and out of bounds on the full. So a little let off there for Sydney. Robbie Fox in his 100th to bring it back. And in fact, it's 50 against Waitman for encroaching on the mark. So Robbie Fox will have the chance to have a round of applause from the Swans faithful as he carries the football all the way up to the back end of the square.
13 minutes played here in the opening term. Bulldogs, the first 16 points of the game. Loopy hand pass from Blakey off to Roberts. Sends it deep inside 50. Amati leads up to 50 and marks in that left forward pocket. Still some distance from goal. As you mentioned, Joel Amati, 4 goals in 5 games since that bag of 9 against the Crows in Adelaide. Every goal, every opportunity is so important here for the home side. They've not had many of them. Such has been the Bulldogs' defence. Amati goes well across the face. Well, it dropped there favourably. It does for Heaney. Off to Goulden. He's unmarked. He can fire on goal, but misses to the left. Just sneaks through for a minor score. That's their first score of the game, the Swans. 14 goal opening term. It's the Western Bulldogs 2-4-16. Sydney 1 behind ABC Sport.
They play on quickly, the Dogs. Dale to Taylor Duray at left half back.
They're out.
Got Norton in a lot of space, and he's got a man free in McNeil. It is top of the square. Well done, Blakey, to get back and spoil. He was running through into an open goal square, Lockie McNeil, but Nick Blakey tracked him the whole way and spoiled it. The Dogs running free at the moment. They are 2-5-17. Sydney 1 behind. 14 and a half gone. Sunday afternoon footy, ABC Sport.
Well done, Nick Blakey. And whilst the Swans defenders are under pressure, there is no pressure on the ball upfield.
Quick work from the kick out here. Blakey, Goulden, Heaney, and now Jordan kicks into space. Wicks onto it now at the 50. Taps it back here for Corey Warner. He can steady. Pops it to the pocket now. It's intercepted down there in defence. It was nice work out there by Bramble to bring it to ground. He's tackled. The umpire will ball up again.
I know what you're saying, Sato, but the reality is Swans coaches will be furious that being able to go coast to coast.
Inside 50, McLean wins it down for the Swans. They pile in from all angles and will ball it up again. It's the Western Bulldogs 2-5-17. The Sydney Swans 1 behind. 15 and a half gone to the opening term, ABC Sport.
Heaney roves it. Ed Richards wins it back. Ball in dispute. Right half forward for the Swans. Goulden gets hands on it. Gives it to Hayward. McLean pushes English off the football and then drags it in. His handball straight to Garcia though. He's tackled by Corey Warner and over the boundary line under the scoreboard in between the Bill O'Reilly stand and the Bradman stand. A couple of famous cricketing names. Ball to be thrown in right half forward for the Swans, who are one behind Bulldogs 2-5-17.
By tosses it back in. McLean and English do the right work. Worked away down there by Liberatore. Tap forward here again, going in hard. McNeil for the Bulldogs. They keep it moving towards half forward, going inside forward 50 now. McCartan tracks it back with Norton. Pressure here on the defender. And he finds the salvation of the boundary line. So a throw in deep inside 50 for the Bulldogs yet again. They lead here 2-5-17 to one behind the Swans. 16 and a half played in the opening term here on ABC Sport.
It's finding a lot of one-on-one space, aren't they, the Bulldogs forwards? It's not like the Swans defence to not be helping out third man in and up.
Darcy tried to take it cleanly out of the ruck. Now gets hands on it again. Throws it on the left boot. It's a bouncing ball across the face. And goes over for a boundary throw in. So that suits the Dogs. It'll be thrown back in next to the behind post. Dogs attacking the right of your radio dial, the ABC Listen app. They are 2-5-17. Sydney one behind.
Update you on the MCG shortly. Back in it comes. McLean and English in the ruck. Richards reaching for it. So too Florent defence for the Swans. Overruns the ball now. Mills tries to extract it. Goulden likewise. Quick hand pass. Roberts runs into trouble. Loose footy gathered by Goulden. That's going to come back here for a Swans free kick as Roberts was dealt with afterwards. It's going to be a footy slow coming back as well, but it won't be 50. So a free kick to Roberts at fullback here for Sydney. Meanwhile at the MCG, Collingwood 13-87 leads Richmond 7-11-53, 34 points the margin there. That game does have ramifications on that fringe of the top eight, which includes the Bulldogs. Strong grab here by Liam Jones forward of the wing, members side of the SCG.
Back in after 3 weeks out, Liam Jones takes a good grab, sends the dog into attack again. Norton will leap for it. Got clean hands to it. Bontempelli roving on his left, snapping. It'll bounce through. The Bont with a beauty. And the Bulldogs have stunned the SCG early. They are 3-5-23. Sydney one behind. And the skipper with a sensational snap.
They certainly have, Garbs. And Sado, the Doggies have just looks like they've come with a real intent and real aggressive attitude, particularly displayed in their pressure all over the grounds. You've seen the number of tackles being made, particularly from their key position players. Just sounds like they've come here to make a bit of a statement, particularly early in this game. Swans, it's kind of happening all over the ground for them. Their forwards are getting outmarked up the ground. Their defenders are under pressure. McCartan's shaky. Roberts is shaky. The ball's coming in fair bit on repeats. It's a little bit panic stations for the Swans at the moment.
The Bulldogs just owning every aspect of the game, aren't the contest, offensive, defensive. They are just dominating the Swans in every area of the game.
Restart back in the middle. Grundy looks to lay it down here. Kind bounce for Heaney. Hand pass wasn't there though. Liberatore reaching for it. Chad Warner goes in hard for the Swans. Tumbles his kick ball the outer wing. His brother Corey takes the mark back with a fly. Forward to the wing now for the Swans. Can they make the most of this? Short kick to Jake Lloyd, the two-time B&F winner.
Warner limping away from that centre bounce too.
Marked by Mills in front of the scoreboard on the outer side. Pops it high inside forward 50 here, looking for a grab. Strong defensive grab down there by Liam Jones. He was up there, plenty of height.
But who's the forward on him? There's not one forward, I guess, keeping him accountable in the air at the moment.
He's taken 3 contested marks.
Jones can kick toward the paint of 50 where Lobb controls it at left half back for the Bulldogs.
Play on quickly to Norton, who's on a long lead. Just backward of the wing. Pokes it over the top for Poulter. A little bit too strongly though. Robbie Fox gathers it. Quick 1-2 with Tom McCartan, but Poulter was watching him closely and tackled Robbie Fox. Dogs can win it back. Norton's in there trying to extract it. Toe pokes it forward. Picked up by McNeil. Quick hands looking for West. Taylor Adams did well to put a strong body on that contest. Treloar and then Liberatore. The Dogs have it again. Now DeRay on the wing. Corey Warner chasing him. Treloar's happy to take it over the boundary line. We have a throw in smack bang on the wing Out of side under the Bill O'Reilly stand. Bulldogs 3-5-23. Sydney 1 behind. We've seen this a few times before at the SCG. Carlton did it to the Swans. So did Geelong, and Sydney came back. But they are under the pump at the moment, the Swans.
Not renowned for fast starts, the home side. Yes, just hit time on here in the opening term. They go forward of halfway through Roberts. The free kick for a hold is now paid the way of Amati. Given away there by Caulfield. Amati's a long way from home here. Forward of the wing, not in scoring range. Has options presenting. Pops the throw on the boot, high towards the hot spot here for the Swans. And again, it's English this time, intercepting. Unmarked, no one with him. Tim English marks at fullback here for the Dogs. They lead by 22 points, 21 gone in the opening term, ABC Sport.
Well, Amati didn't want to kick there because he saw Tim English. Didn't have any other options, though. So eventually put it in that position. Well done, though, by Tom McCartan, who's had a slow start to this game, to mark in front of Norden in a contested situation, just forward of the wing. So a repeat entry for Sydney. Grundy will leap. Liam Jones marks again. What a return to the dog side for him. That's his third strong contested mark, and he goes short into the defensive goal square for Rory Lobb.
Lobb switches back here to Bramble. Pressure comes from Florent. Bramble follows up, though. Too quick this time for Cunningham. Out in space now for the Bulldogs, looking to evade Goulden. Nice work it was down there by Vandermeer. Hand pass will come here towards Bramble again. Tumbles it inside 452. Bulldogs back there. Waitman shares the pass here. Off here to Riley West. He can centre the ball towards Poulter, who kept running and takes the mark at full forward, no more than 10 metres out.
There was some bold ball movement from the back half. Lobb's kick, it was risky, but it paid off. And once they've got the ball going, the Bulldogs, they're just going in numbers. Absolute numbers.
I'm not sure what happened there, Sato. 3 Western Bulldogs players.
Here's Poulter taking the free kick or the mark. The set shot from the left forward pocket, he makes no mistake. 4-5-29. The Swans 1 behind, 22 and a half played in the opening term on ABC Sport. Your experts, Callum Sinclair, Jason Saddington.
Apologies, Spriggy. I was just saying, Sato, I'm not too sure what happened there. 3 Western Bulldogs small forwards on their own out the back in the forward 50. So for the Swans at the moment, they look a little bit sore, reactive, but the pace in which the Bulldogs are playing at the moment is just superb. But you've got to send someone to Liam Jones. That's 4 contested intercept marks, English as well. I'm not too sure what you're going to have to do, but I think probably Hayden McLean needs to have to play a bit more of a defensive role just to keep him on the ground.
That's a massive win for the Bulldogs, isn't
Huge.
it? If especially without some of their key goal kickers, certainly with Papley out, you want Amati and these guys and McLean to actually be playing an offensive game, not having to contain one of the Bulldogs' defenders.
What a start this is by Luke Beveridge's side. 4-5-29 the Dogs. Swans just a 1 behind. They win it in the middle through Grundy, though. Now ball to Lloyd. Warner has to pick it up, just his second touch. Chad Warner gives it to Cunningham, under pressure, back end of the square, up and under ball to the wing. Warner and DeRay wrestling for it. That's Corey Warner, picked up by Taylor Adams. The kick to half forward. Buku Khamis with a massive leap. Only spoiled it in the end. And as far as Amati, handball to Heaney, goes for the driving ball into attack. Neil's back there. As Lockie Bramble in support, takes a bounce, that puts him under a bit of pressure. Turns around though and goes short to Nick Caulfield, who was marked in the left back pocket.
The former Saint controls it for a moment, sends it towards the junction of 50 there, where it is marked by Rory Lobb. Gets it back here to Bailey Dale in his 150th game. The other side of the SCG, kick will come to Norton. He wheels and goes now 75 from goal. Has options out wide. Richards pressured from Cunningham. Slapped away by Norton. Back to Trelaw. Liberatore puts them back inside 50. Overcooks the kick. It's out of bounds on the full. So a Swans ball in the right back pocket, but it's the Bulldogs who lead by 28 points. It's 4-5, plays 1 behind. 25 gone in the opening term on ABC Sport.
Sato, you wouldn't be liking it, what you're seeing if you're in the Swans coaches box at the moment. They're being allowed to go from coast to coast uncontested.
Callum Mills just the 1 disposal. Logan McDonald, Will Hayward haven't touched it. It's Jake Lloyd in the right back pocket. Sends the Swans, who are under enormous pressure, up to the wing. It's the hands of Lobb and McLean. Grundy's there. Amati's wrapped up. We'll have a ball up. Western Bulldogs 4-5-29. Sydney 1 behind. The Dogs have won 4 of their last 5. They've taken their good form to the SCG in a big way.
Ball in the air, Grundy takes it out of the ruck. Dispossessed though by Bontempelli. On the bounce here for Treloar. Tumbles it back towards half forward here for the Bulldogs. And it bounces out of bounds for a throw-in.
It's not something we've seen from the Swans or expect from the Swans is being flat. But that's exactly what they are, aren't they? They're flat. They're slow. They're reactive. It doesn't look like there's a lot of energy in what they're doing out there at the moment. The Bulldogs are running rings around them.
Grundy palms it down here. Bontempelli busts away from the Roberts tackle, and he's wrapped up there by Robertson Campbell, and will throw it up 55 out from the Bulldogs' attacking goal. Down to Poppy Penny very shortly as Grundy taps it down again. Bontempelli again busts the pack. Treloar keeps it moving, but it's marked by Lloyd. Mark is paid just. He'll switch across here. It's still dicey here for the Swans inside defensive 50. Blakey runs onto it, and he's away off half back.
That can energise the Swans perhaps, but his kick is spoiled on the wing, and now Norton gathers it. Handball to McNeil, keeps it in just. Now it goes over the boundary line, right half forward, down to Poppy Penny.
Errol Goulden and Will Hayward have been on the bench for some time. They are shouting at their teammates trying to get back on, but the play's been all on the other side of the ground, so they've just started making rotations now, but they've been stuck on the bench.
Hayward's on the ground. Goulden, we can see, is clearly agitated. Liberatore with the clearance at half forward, so a quick kick inside 50. Cunningham's there, as is Riley Garcia. Blakey falls on him. Garcia put the hand up, appealing, half appealing for a high hit. Not awarded, so we'll have a ball up right forward pocket for the Dogs, who lead by 28 points late in the first term of the SCG.
Richards first hands to it from the ball up, shares it with Ugle-Hagan, overrun by Jamara, and it's run out of bounds here by Garcia. I'm in trouble here. I'll say I've had a big weekend, not a big weekend like on the refreshments. I've had a big work weekend, so I might just limp to the finish line here, Garby. Just put you on notice. Back in it comes Grundy and English both missed it. Lloyd tackled by Ugle-Hagan. Again, the umpire says, give it to me. 40 out from the goals at the Randwick end. At the end, the Bulldogs are attacking, and 28 points remains their lead.
Chance for another one before quarter time by these rampant Bulldogs. Treloar looking for Bontempelli. Adams knocked it away. Campbell gathered it. Bontempelli tackled him. Centre half forward for the Dogs. They win it back again. Caulfield the quick kick. Straight to Matt Roberts though. Nick Blakey's fallen over behind him. They're falling apart at the moment, Sydney. Matt Roberts looks up. There is no run whatsoever. He just has to go short to Brodie Grundy in his own defensive 50. Gives it back to Roberts. Now he'll go long to the win. Can someone take a contested mark for the Swans? McDonald comes out to meet it. Warner attacks the contest. Puts the don't argue on Liberatore, but is caught holding the ball. Doesn't that sum up the first term? Great tackle, Adam Treloar. The two number ones opposed to each other, and now he spots up Caulfield in the middle of the ground.
Caulfield lays off the hand pass to Duray. The former Hawk goes inside 50 on his lead of West, who is out from full forward, controls the chest mark, 35 out in the 45-degree angle.
Their pressure this quarter, the Bulldogs, has been elite. I mean, right there on Warner as well to cause that turnover. They're in the Swans' faces. Every time they get the ball, the pressure's on, ball spilling, and then they're off and running. Their energy and enthusiasm's way through the roof compared to what we're seeing from the Swans. So well done, Dogs. They deserve what they're getting at the moment.
Riley West, the recent 50-gamer who's established himself in this side this year. Here he is kicking from 40, and it is straight over the goal umpire's hat. This quarter has gone to the Dogs. 5-5-35. The Swans are stuck on one behind. 29 gone to the opening term on ABC Sport this Sunday afternoon. Your experts are Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair.
And we spoke about reaction time, Sadoff. What I really like from Adam Treloar, as soon as he got that free kick, his head just completely turned to the corridor. Then 3 or 4 Western Bulldogs guys on their own, so not sure what kind of happened there from the Swans area structurally, but I don't mind the Riley West matchup on Blakey at the moment. So we know what Blakey wants to do. He wants to, I guess, run off, play very, very proactive, but I think the more you can play through Nick Blakey's man, I guess if you're a good enough team to do it, I think the highly beneficial that'll be.
Inside 50s, 19-7 in favour of the Dogs. They are 5-5-35, Sydney 1 behind. An incredible start to this contest at the SCG. Swans can try win it out of the middle through Campbell. Nice handball to Roberts, but he's under pressure. And now he's turned it over because there's Dogs all around him. Bontempelli on his left. Inside 50 they go again. McCartan can't quite pick it up, eventually does. Tahini, who's caught by Ugle-Hagan. He's caught high though. And the Swans will play on quickly. Lloyd with a kick to Campbell. There's the siren. It couldn't come quickly enough for the Swans. A silent SCG at quarter time because the Dogs are 5-5-35. Sydney 1 behind. They'll get around Ugle-Hagan for another strong defensive effort that sums up the way the Dogs have attacked it in this first term.
Goal scorers so far in the game, all of them in the red, white and blue. Jamara Ugle-Hagan, Marcus Bontempelli, Riley West, Ed Richards and Caleb Poulter all on the board. A total of 10 scoring shots to 1 for a 34-point lead. We have seen slow starts for the Swans at times this year, but this just feels like something else. The Bulldogs playing to affirm their place in the top 8, at least for now. A very impressive opening term from the visitors here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. This is Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Tune your mood with the ABC Listen app. Get swept away in a podcast.
Do you do that?
Oh, Richard, of course.
Choose the news that suits you.
I'm Matt Bevan, and this is If You're Listening.
Call live radio shows.
So you were terrified?
I don't know. Listening to your show got me through it.
And find a playlist that moves you. Anytime, anywhere, every day. Life sounds better with the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season.
Every match
On the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Liberatore on hands and knees, shares it with Treloar. Comes back to Treloar now. Quick kick from Bailey Dale. Inboard now, and Norton lands on his chest. 55 from goal. They're all streaking back there. Norton goes to the pocket. Ugle-Hagan in the contest with Melican. Second, third bite as he paid the mark. He is. Jamara deep at right, full forward. Ugle-Hagan, preferred left foot. Snap, opens up the angle and makes no mistake.
Richards will strike this from 52. Runs around on his left. It is looking very good indeed off the boot. Sails straight through. Back in after 3 weeks out, Liam Jones makes a good grab. Sends the dog into attack again. Norton will leap for it. Got clean hands to it. Bontempelli roving on his left, snapping. It'll bounce through. The Bont with a beauty. And the Bulldogs have stunned the SCG early.
Hand pass will come here towards Bramble again. Tumbles it inside 452. Bulldogs back there. Waitman shares the pass here. Off here to Riley West. He can centre the ball towards Poulter, who kept running and takes the mark at full forward, no more than 10 metres out. From the left forward pocket, he makes no mistake.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio
ABC Sport Digital.
and on the ABC Listen app.
An impressive opening term for the Western Bulldogs, chasing their 11th win of the year. They lead the Swans at quarter time, 5-5-35 to Sydney, 1 behind here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. This is ABC Sport with me, Brett Sprigg, alongside Daniel Garb, Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair, Poppy Penny. Meanwhile, at the MCG, full time there, the Pies have beaten the Tigers 14-9-93 to 9-13 at 67. Players named Dacos combined for a total of 74 disposals. So Nick had 42 and Josh 32. And that win, it's all part of, there's a few teams today that are in that sort of section of the ladder. So it keeps the Pies within touch of what's all going on there. So they're up now into 12th. And they're on the same number of premiership points as the Bulldogs, assuming, of course, the Bulldogs, though, will... if they continue on this impressive start, get the win, they'll go a game further ahead as well and get that place in the top 8. But there's a few of those teams lurking about. Hawthorn, of course, plays Adelaide soon as well. We'll keep you across that game as it gets underway. I did just see, by the way, Brodie Smith for the Crows out with illness, so Dan Curtin replaces him and is their sub. So a late change for the Adelaide Crows in that game against the Hawks at Adelaide Oval. In the meantime, Callum Sinclair, Jason Saddington, your thoughts on a dominant opening term for the Bulldogs?
Well, probably fair to say there's a fair bit to talk about. I was just watching the Sydney Swans huddle there. The coaches were in a separate meeting there for a big chunk of it, and probably the body language and the pacing up and down of John Longmire at the moment, I can only assume what they're kind of receiving if you're a coach.
I think they're trying to work out who's going to call Cal Sinclair to come down and give him the, come on, let's get some energy out here, boys.
Exactly
like
right.
you gave us before the game.
Well, the Western Bulldogs heard me. So they've been... But I think if you're the Swans, I think your biggest concerns would be probably Adam Treloar. He's had 11 disposals, 4 kicks, 7 handballs, 3 contested possessions. He's kind of everywhere at the moment. But Liam Jones and Rory Lobb down back, I think Liam Jones, we spoke about him that quarter numerous times. Intercept marks, one of those key forwards has to make him accountable. You can't be letting him fly all over the ground and taking intercept grabs. But Rory Lobb seems like he's quite relishing in this kind of, new position. He's probably really, taking comfort in actually having a role within the side. But once again, it's going to be interesting to see what the Swans do. They're only just breaking away from their huddle now, Stato. They're going to really have to, respond this quarter after what appeared to be a very feisty conversation John Longmire had with them just then.
Well, and I reckon it would have been across every line as well, because the
100%.
Bulldogs have torched them in every aspect of football through that quarter. I mean, what the Bulldogs put out is premiership-style footy. Their pressure at the contest to win the footy and put the pressure on the Swans was absolutely elite, and it wasn't just from the midfielders or their smaller players. And we saw Lobb and Ugle-Hagan, everyone tackling Poulter, putting pressure on around the footy, and defensively set up as well. When the Swans did win some slow play ball, the Bulldogs were just so well set up that the Swans had no chance to get through. And then the flip side, when the Bulldogs win the ball, they were flat out numbers running ahead, outnumbering at the contest and getting some very good looks inside 50 for Norton, who absolutely lit it up that quarter.
So the Bulldogs by 34 points at the first change. Here we go into the second term as the SCG crowd belts out a very sort of sombre Sweet Caroline. The first clearance goes by Marcus Bontempelli inside forward 50 here for the Bulldogs. Socked away out there by Darcy. Onto it quickly, Duray. Hand pass back inboard to Garcia. Worked all the way back by hand here for Bramble. From the members' side wing of the SCG. Up inside 50. Grundy went the spoil. It's a loose ball for Richards. Hurries a high ball inside forward 50. Allowed to drop there. Milliken. McNeil lurking. So too Waitman. Heaney can get there in defence. No, he can't. Getting there first, McNeil to Ugle-Hagan. He can snap, but playing goalkeeper is Roberts. The Swans are away off full-back.
Roberts exits defensive 50. Bounces in front of Buku Khamis. He put a foot out and missed it. And the Swans can win it back through Hayward. His first possession, the 1-2 with Heaney on the wing. Kicks to half forward, just puts it out in front of Taylor Adams. Adams is chasing it, gets a shepherd from Logan McDonald. Then they got in each other's way. Adams went to get it. Somehow it hit McDonald's foot, went over the boundary line, left half forward. Sydney one behind, Bulldogs 5-5-35, a minute gone in the second term. Sunday after footy, ABC Sport.
Back in it comes on the outer side. English from behind on Grundy. First pair of hands though, Florent. Goulden off balance with a kick. Works out okay though for Adams. Adams is 65 from goal. Needs a neat entry here as the Shadows move across the SCG. Adams pumps it long inside for 50. Heaney gets a hand pass off to Hayward, who can tumble it through. Khamis flew a little too early. He's worked through a couple of sets of hands, and in the end, Will Hayward obliges from pretty well directly in front for the Swans' first goal of the afternoon. 1-1-7. They trail the Bulldogs to a 5-5-35. Minute 50 gone in the second term here on ABC Sport.
We've spoken about it a little bit, Sato, that to get back in the game, it doesn't have to be pretty, top of the goal square sort of stuff. Terrific contest from a couple of Western Bulldogs defenders, but that's might be what it takes to kind of get back into this game, because they needed something.
Yeah. Well, it almost looked like Buku Khamis was going to mark that ball like we saw from Liam Jones and some of the other Dogs defenders in that first quarter. Luckily for the Swans, he dropped it. It popped to the front where Heaney was able to get a clever little handball off to Hayward. But, Swans, they need to take the chances, like you say, Kel.
Hayward from point blank range after playing on that sore ankle last week. Very bravely kicked 2 in the loss to Brisbane. Didn't train on Friday. He's managed to get up. Dogs lead by 28. Treloar caught by Mills, just managed to dispose of it. Florence there with Garcia. Off hands, is picked up by Warner. There's a free kick though going the way of Florent, who was held by Garcia. Back edge of the square. Swans were the first of the second term. Will history repeat itself? Well, the Carlton game, the Geelong game, and maybe a couple of others, the Adelaide game away, where the Swans faced massive deficits but came back to win by big margins in the end. Will that be the storyline again? They've got a lot of work to do. Florent to right half back and Melican wider to Harry Cunningham. Played his 200th game last week. The under-the-radar Swan. There's Goulden on, calling for it on the wing. Just guides it to half forward. Hayward's there, went straight through his hands. Very well with the second effort though, Hayward, to pick it up. High ball inside 50. It might sit up for Warner. Bounces over his head. Caulfield's there. Look for Bailey Williams, who just let it go over the boundary line. That's why the Swans fans are calling for insufficient intent, and it won't be paid. Boundary throw in right forward pocket for Sydney.
Bulldogs defenders, they just had extra numbers at the drop of the ball. Again there, Cal, didn't they? They weren't able to clear it out, but they're definitely working hard defensively still this quarter. 28
points, the Bulldogs lead early stages second term. Grundy and English both missed it. Mills goes together now for the Swans. Dispossessed. Treloar trying hard as well. Umpire will ball it up. Earlier at the MCG, Collingwood beat Richmond by 26 points in that game there. Adelaide Hawthorn underway shortly as well. Back live here, Bontempelli gets away from the stoppage, kicks up the line, Melican in the contest down there with Darcy, and it's over for a boundary throw in western side.
But even the acts like that, Darcy, he's out of position as the forward, but desperate to put a spoil in so Melican couldn't mark that footy. That's the type of game the Bulldogs are playing at the moment. Earlier when Garcia gave away the free kick, his intent to tackle was so high that he was just a bit too overzealous.
Swans trainers working hard on Errol Goulden. Poppy Penny will keep an eye on that for us. He's on the bench at the moment. Here's Matt Roberts picking it up on the wing. He gave it straight to Taylor Adams under pressure though. Right behind him was Riley Garcia. He tackled him as soon as he caught the football, Taylor Adams. Matt Roberts now apologises, but he got a free kick.
Overzealous tackle again.
Yeah, he was Garcia. Into the corridor, Adams goes, looking for Blakey. He just sends it wide to McCartan. Back to Blakey now. Dogs again, set up well defensively. Ugle-Hagan with another strong chase. Back to McCartan. Blakey goes with a handball. High ball to centre half forward. Caulfield's underneath it. He takes the strong mark. It is some dirty ball going forward for Sydney at the moment because the Dogs are putting them under enormous pressure.
Into Poppy shortly. Dogs tip it across half back. Out towards Lob from Bontempelli. Lob's kick hurried towards the interchange gates, where it's by Jordan first. Florent receives the hand pass, kicks up the line. Adams, Karmas comes late. Adams deflects the ball inside 50, but there's Bulldogs jumpers back there in defence, and a short chip pass comes to Richards. Poppy on the boundary.
Yeah, Errol Goulden came off wincing, pointing to his back, so he's just had quite a bit of work on his back done.
Keep an eye on that. 6 disposals for Goulden. Dogs go up to the wing. Vandermeer, well tackled by Amadi. The Swans have lifted their pressure numbers. Mills to Campbell, running it half forward. Short to Adams. Handball inside 50 for Heaney. Was just a bit too high for him. Treloar gathers it. Now to Karmas, and Lob has Norton coming off the bench and marking on the wing.
3 goals last time these sides met here at this venue. Aaron Norton doesn't have one yet today, but the Bulldogs controlling things for the time being. 28 points. A neat kick though to find West on the logo commentary side. Out the back here, Dale, the milestone man. His kick towards half forward, chopped off by Melican, who intercepts in front of the members stand here at the SCG. So 7 minutes gone second term. Swans retreat back inside defensive 50. Melican to Cunningham. It's 5-5 plays 1-1. Cunningham comes back beyond defensive 50 for Mills.
They've been stuck going sideways, backwards, haven't they, the Swans, because the Bulldogs are just continuing to set up very, very well defensively.
So Callum Mills, just his second game of the season, goes wider to Warner. Just his third disposal, Chad Warner. Up to the wing. Braden Campbell made a good contest. Ball goes over the boundary line next to the benches. Bulldogs 5-5-35, Sydney 1-1-7. So they've kept Chad Warner quiet and no real impact on this game. Mills as well, just the 3 disposals. The captain trying to work his way back into AFL football. He's doing it slowly at the moment.
Toss back in. Members side of the SCG. Grundy wins it down. Liberatores kick smothered by the big man on the follow-up. Waitman gets there first though. Shares it away here to Duray, and his kick's out of bounds on the full. So we're seeing a few skill errors creep in now for the Bulldogs, but they keep a handsome lead, 28 points. Speaking of handsome, here's Florent, comes up to the flank, and Karmas flies up first. Can't control the grab. They pile in from all angles again, and ball up here at right half forward for the Swans.
Fansbury.
I saw the segue, the opportunity was there, and I took it.
Yeah, very good call. Brody Grundy slaps it towards the boundary line. Richards sees it over. Right half forward for the Swans, just outside 50. Much better start to the second term.
Yeah, their pressure acts have left have it. Like we saw Amadi get busy before. They're starting to smother and tackle with a bit more aggression, the Swans.
They are 1-1-7. The Bulldogs 5-5-35. Grundy down to Campbell. They extract it through Bailey Williams, the Dogs. Bouncing ball on the wing. Waitman gathers it. He's surrounded by 5 Sydney players, and Warner tackles him well. And he's pinged holding it. That might get the Swans going. Strong tackle by Warner on Waitman.
Good for Chad. He just needs to get back in the game. He's been caught holding the ball and a bit flat-footed today.
He goes short, and he finds Matt Roberts, who's up to 12 disposals now in the middle of the SCG.
Roberts had 23 last week against the Lions. His kick out wide to find Lloyd, and now McCartan goes back inside 50, reaching from the back McDonald, but it's marked by Lobb. In defence for the Bulldogs, Rory Lobb, the defender, comes out wide to find Dale. Sweeping hand pass wide. Treloar hits the ground running off half back towards Poulter and Fox on the outer side. Off and over for a throw-in. Poppy Penny on the boundary.
Yeah, the Sydney physios are pretty busy. Lewis Melican's having his right hamstring worked on and tested at the moment.
10 go on second term. Bulldogs stuck on their quarter-time score of 5-5-35. The Swans with the only goal, the only score of this second term so far.
They seem a little bit banged up at the moment, Sydney. Some key players out. Lots of players getting treatment. Here's Wicks, though, at half forward. He's coming to the side for Papley on his left. Goes inside 50. McLean is marked. And the shouts for 50 for a high hit from Lobb on McLean after he marks it.
Jones clipped him on the way through.
Jones it was, but it won't be paid. McLean is very slow to get up properly.
Really good kick there from Sam Wicks.
Well, he slapped him. That has to be 50. I mean, if that's not 50, then I don't know how you can pay anything else. That is. He might have said he was going for the football, Liam Jones, but he caught Hayden McLean flush on the schnoz.
Well after he marked it too.
Now McLean will kick on the 45-degree angle, 35 metres out. It's a goal anyway. He didn't need the 50 metres. McLean's on the board. The Swans have 2 in a row. Margin back to 22 points. Bulldogs 5-5-35. Sydney 2-1-13.
Well done, Sam Wicks. Exploded away with the footy, and then was a lovely kick, Cal, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Just well weighted to the advantage of McLean. It just over the back of Rory Lobb, who got caught a bit too far in front of McLean. But it was so well weighted. It sat right in the middle of Lobb and who was the other defender? Jones, who came in and clipped him. Sam Wicks really set that up for the Swans.
Absolutely. And good explosive play, which is what the Swans have lacked. Kind of got their way back into this game. Nothing pretty.
No, it just comes back to pressure and
just
stuff.
Just more an attitude and intent, Sato. And good smother from Grundy earlier. Just rolling the sleeves up and putting the overalls on.
The voice of Callum Sinclair on ABC Sport alongside Jason Saddington. Restart back in the middle. Swans with the first couple of goals of this second quarter. Here's a clearance. Comes through Grundy and Goulden. High ball inside forward 50. Money leads up here at the back. Lobb not paid the grab. Karmas bursting by. Hand pass out in space. There's Corey Warner back to Amati. Slips the tackle of Poulter onto Heaney, who can snap, but it's marked down there at fullback by Bramble. Bulldogs here away through Bailey Dale. Oh, Mills kick smothered here. Comes back again though for Dale, and now English. Hand pass wide to West. They can burst away now, the Bulldogs.
The Dogs are under pressure though. The Swans serving up to them what the Dogs dished out to Sydney in the first quarter. Florent gathers it on the wing. They're going to trap the Bulldogs inside their own defensive half again. Amati comes out to meet it, full-chested. It bounces off his chest though. We'll have a boundary throw in left half forward for Sydney. They only trail by 22 points now, and the second quarter has been all the Swans. The inside 50s in the second term, 7-3 in favour of Sydney.
Umpire tosses it back in the bright Sydney sunshine here on this Sunday afternoon. Goulden and Richards go to it. Grundy lays the tackle on Richards and will ball it up again.
Bit of a trend this quarter of just the Western Bulldogs forward. Probably not playing high enough. Stato, they've looked up a few times and have got no one to kick to.
Grundy palms it down. West cops Grundy in the back of him, and again the umpire says, give it to me. 22 points is the Bulldogs lead. 13 goal in second term, ABC Sport.
Mills to Heaney. Now Roberts throws it on his left boot. Bouncing ball inside 50. Jones is under pressure from Hayward. Gives it to DeRay. Quick kick. Marked by Robbie Fox. Just forward of the wing. The milestone man. Fox inside 50 for Sydney. Jones marks on his chest in front of Amati, who's not happy with the delivery. Poppy Penny, is the wind doing anything? Because all the attacking is to the Randwick end of the ground in this game so far.
That is the wind. Well, the wind's going straight across the ground, so it's not really having an impact either way.
It's the lowest point of the grandstand out there, the O'Reilly stand. It's a big bowl here at the SCG. Kick comes to the outer side where McCartan is out with a race on foot with Norton. Overrun by Norton though. McCartan does gather, shares it with Blakey. Off half back they go. His preferred left foot kick to a 2-on-2. English takes a towering grab out there for the Dogs. Will he be a Bulldog next year or a West Coast Eagle? That's the question. Around one of the hottest free agents in the competition, Tim English. It's 22 points still, the Bulldogs lead.
He's leaving it very late, that's for sure. That's getting Eagles fans excited and Dogs fans a bit concerned. Here's Bontempelli. Had quite a second term after a big first quarter. He was well tackled. Campbell gathered it for Sydney. To Roberts, now Florent. They're on half back. Now the Dogs are chasing well. Roberts with another possession finds Goulden on the wing. 14 touches for Matt Roberts across half-back. Goulden has marked it just behind the wing, down to Poppy Penny.
Luke Parker's got the training top off, so it does look like Melican has been hampered by that hamstring. It looks like he's going to the back of the bench.
Not for the first time this year as well. Melican subbed out, so Parker into the action soon, we reckon. Amadi lays the tackle on Bailey Dale. The umpire says holding the ball. He did have Pryor up against the boundary line, and Amadi just didn't let him go.
It's the area of the game. They've definitely lifted the Swans. They're tackling, their pressure. It's making a big difference. The urgency's back with them. The crowd's up and about too.
Marty comes inboard here to find his skipper, Mills. Raking right foot kick. High toward the hot spot here. Grundy running start there. Duray at the bottom. Brought down by Wicks. And again, we'll ball it up. 30 out from Sydney's attacking goal, Randwick end.
Liam Jones is still an issue for the Sydney Swans. He's still being allowed to play on his own behind the ball. He might have taken a few grabs this quarter, but he's actually done some really heavy spoils. So the job's not done. They've just got to send someone a bit more accountable to Liam.
Here is Luke Parker. So the sub for the second week in a row at the SCG. Down to Poppy on the boundary.
Yeah, Will Hayward's also just come up with a massive cut under his left eye. So the doctors are pretty busy on the Swans bench at the minute, and just it's been confirmed that it's hamstring tightness for Lewis Melican.
So he's off, Parker on. It was a surprise that he was named as the sub, but he's into the game early. West does well to spin away from defensive 50 and give it to Richards. Now Ugle-Hagan, a chance for the Dogs to move it quickly into attack. Ugle-Hagan goes to centre half forward. Corey Warner, though, back with a flight with courage, read it well and trapped it at centre half back to Fox. And now Lloyd in defensive 50, guides it to Jordan, who marks just inside the boundary line at right half back.
With the lack of ball the Bulldogs had, Ugle-Hagan probably just need to go slow there and wait for him to get some players ahead of the ball. He went quick and allowed the Swans to get the ball back.
Jordan's kick to a pack on the wing. English from behind on Grundy. Haney busts the tackle of Garcia. Slews his kick towards half forward. Tricky pick up there for Goulden. Back to Wicks, who's wrapped up high. Umpire says play on. Dale out in space there for the Dogs. Kept his feet well. Hand pass, though, was wasted. Goulden here. Back towards Wicks. McLean to Adams. Run down from behind. A great chase and tackle out there from Duray. And the tackler is rewarded. Duray has it at centre half back for the Bulldogs, who keep a 22-point lead here. 5-5 plays 2-1. 17 played second quarter.
Errol Goulden slow to get up again.
Dogs have lifted their pressure now. To Sydney started well in the second term. Treloar to half forward, finding Norton. Treloar up to 15 disposals. What a season he's having. Fair chance to break through for his first All-Australian Blazer, Adam Treloar. He is number 2 in the comp for average disposals a game. Here's Bailey Dale in game 150. Inside 50. Well done, Robbie Fox. Gave it to Roberts, though, under pressure. Grundy can't collect. Fox got it back, gave it straight to Bailey Williams, though, and now Treloar. Cunningham's there, throws it on the boot. Bramble traps it inside, attacking 50 for the Western Bulldogs. Now English is well tackled by Hayden McLean. Ball up just outside 50 for the Dogs, who are 5-5-35. Sydney 2-1-13, 22-point lead to the away side.
Up it goes. Chad Warner burst through here. Couldn't get a hand pass away, though. Picked up by Liberatore for the Bulldogs. High ball inside 50. Darcy, Ugle-Hagan was in there as well. Second bite, couldn't pull it in. Sock off the neck by Vandermeer. And he misses to the right-hand side. It was a scramble towards goal. Vandermeer got there first, but it was not a major for the Bulldogs. And Sydney waste no time kicking out from goal, but Corey Warner can't control it. So it remains here. The Bulldogs 5-6-36. The Swans 2-1-13. 18 minutes played second quarter. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
The Swans have done well this quarter when you consider what the Bulldogs dished up in that first quarter, which was absolutely elite. They've just had their first actual attempt at goal. We're 18 minutes into the second quarter, so well done, Swans.
Logan McDonald still without a touch of the football. Here's Warner, at left half back, throws it on the boot. Bouncing ball on the wing, Amadi's there. He did well to collect it, kept it in. Back to Heaney. Rubber kick though. It's picked up by Lloyd. Lob, sorry. Gave it to Liberatore. Handball over his shoulder. He was caught holding the football, didn't dispose of it correctly. Well done, Amadi, who has lifted his pressure rating. He's working hard for the Swans.
Yeah, he really has. He's had a couple of big pressure efforts this quarter, a couple of tackles.
23 points the Bulldogs lead. Amadi's kick towards half forward. English floats across to intercept. Jones provides some support as well. It's towed forward by McLean. Treloar slips the Parker tackle. And off here to Rory Lobb. The Bulldogs can rebound hurriedly again, but Lobb's kick, in fact, just was inside the field of play. Takes a right turn and goes over for a throw-in. So we're approaching time on here. By the way, in Adelaide, the Hawks have the first 2 goals against the Crows. 2 straight 12, the 2 behinds. Luke Bruce has both of them. Early stages in the opening term there, so we'll keep you across that. Meanwhile, the SCG, Bulldogs by 23 over the Swans.
Swans have worked their way back into the game, though, with a couple of goals in the second term. Garcia, though, sends the Bulldogs inside 50. Well done by Norton to tap it to the advantage of Ugle-Hagan. It sits up for him. He doesn't make the most of it. It was so clever from Norton, the tap, and then it just set up nicely for Ugle-Hagan, who probably had a bit more time than he realised. Rushed the kick, threw for a behind. The Bulldogs lead is 24 points. 20 minutes gone in the second term.
Just caught the belly of the footy, unfortunately, and just couldn't get that one going for the big sticks, but I've loved his game today.
Just saw Matt Spanger in the Bulldogs coach's box as well. Going out beyond defensive 50 here, the Bulldogs, the Swans, I beg your pardon, and going up Caulfield. He is paid the mark. He's got ties to this part of the world. Spanger, who was a Swan, a Hawk, and a West Coast Eagle. Caulfield pops it back inside 50 here for the Bulldogs. Ugle-Hagan this time clunks a simple overhead grab. He was out in front of the pack. And he'll take his set shot from 20 out, a slight angle left of centre. If
you're a Western Bulldog supporter, Sato, you'd just be loving what Ugle-Hagan's doing, particularly at ground level. We know he's great in the air and he can get around goals, but he's chasing, he's tackling. He's got a few of the Swans caught holding the ball today, but it's funny when you do those things.
Kicked 3 goals last time these sides met. Here he is for his second of the afternoon. And again, makes no mistake, Jamara Ugle-Hagan to pull the game back on the Bulldogs' terms and extend their lead back out to 30 points. It's 6-7-43 the Bulldogs. The Sydney Swans are 2-1-13. 21 goal in second term. Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Don't get me wrong, he's hit the scoreboard a couple of times, which is great as a key forward, but I guess the point I'm trying to make, Sato, is you've seen it. He's chasing outside of defensive 50. His, I guess, hunter ground level has been exceptional.
Yep. And, if you're getting that from your goal-kicking, marking forwards, that really lifts the rest of your teammates up in that forward line.
The Dogs lead by 30 points. Jamari Ugle-Hagan has been outstanding with his pressure work. Now he's been rewarded in this second term for his second goal of the game. Bulldogs lead by 30. And English wins it clear out of the middle. Grabbed it out of the ruck, threw it on the boot. To centre half forward it goes. Logan McDonald's now standing in defence. Isn't that interesting? Punched it away, only as far as Treloar, who finds Darcy. The mountain of a man. Arms outstretched as marked and will kick on a very tight angle at right half forward from 45 out.
Well, it's the marking players that the Swans just can't deal with today, isn't it? Norton, Ugle-Hagan, who took a mark, 20 out that last goal, and now Darcy, who we haven't seen too much of today, but another tall marking player that's just causing problems for the Swans.
There is Sam Darcy, tight angle, right half forward. It's across the face. Norton claims for a mark, but it's over the boundary line. So boundary throw in left forward pocket for the Bulldogs. The Logan McDonald move, so that's interesting. He's into defence, and Luke Parker is the deepest forward for the Swans up against Liam Jones. So a tactical change clearly from John Longmire.
Probably just the Lewis Melican situation as well with the tight hamstring.
He was subbed out. That's why Parker's out there. Grundy and English in the ruck. One down here. Richards beats Adams to the football, but come off the back, in fact, of Adams, is it? It's going to be a free kick here for the Bulldogs. So that is most unfortunate for Taylor Adams, who didn't even really realise that he'd been pinged here for out of bounds on the full. The ball's ricocheted off the back of his boot, and that's why Ed Richards is deep in the left forward pocket with a shot at goal here to extend the Dogs' lead to a game-high mark. Opens up the angle, sprays it right across the face, misses the lot. That's going to be out of bounds on the full here for the Swans. 6-7 plays 2-1. Just seeing a replay of how it all sort of came about there is a bit dubious. Anyway, it matters not as far as any change to the score. 24 goal on second term ABC Sport.
Whenever the Swans have mounted a big comeback in games this season, it's usually started midpoint of the second term. They're leaving it very late, the SCG today. Good strong mark though by Hayward, who's been active in the second term. At left half back after the kick in from Blakey. Shields his eyes from the sun. Thought about going backwards. Now just kicks it forward of the wing. Amadi with a nice contest. Trelaw's there though. Winning another disposal. Now Bontempelli. Clean handball to Garcia. And now Richards. Well done Bulldogs to bounce away from that contest. Richards drives him into attack. Norton couldn't mark. Paddles it towards Vandermeer. Handball over the top. Darcy will kick it from a couple of metres out. Fantastic football, Western Bulldogs. And big Sam Darcy slams it through. Their lead is now a clean 6 goals.
Tell you what, they're just so clean at ground level and particularly accelerating at pace from those contest Bulldogs. But great to see the Western Bulldogs players get around Aaron Norton for just making that contest, Sato, bringing it with the 2v1 he had there on, I think it was McDonald and McCartan. Just brought it to ground, kept his feet, tapped it on and got Sam Darcy a bit of a Joe the Goose. So not looking good for the Swans, unfortunately. It was a good start for them, Sato, early, but in that second term, but they just look flat. I don't know what it is kind of about them, whether it's tired, a bit of fatigue. They've had some structural changes now with Melican gone out of the game, and Robbie Fox might have to play a little bit taller. Logan McDonald's now in defence, which will be a little bit unfamiliar to him. Fair bit of work to do now.
Voice of Callum Sinclair on ABC Sport as we approach half-time here in Sydney. 36 points, a new game-high lead for the Bulldogs. Clearance goes away to the Swans. Parker, though, wrapped up by Richards. Towed forward by the Bulldogs. English keeps it moving as well. Off half-back, pressure on Fox. Mills bursts by. Parker's kick smothered. Bont extracts the football. Bontempelli goes inside forward 50, but it's intercepted down there by Logan McDonald. So he is playing in defence on Jamara Ugle-Hagan, the usual Swans spearhead. And that's because Lewis Milliken has been subbed out of the game. Luke Parker is out there. The Swans come beyond defensive 50.
That is McDonald's first disposal. The Dogs win it back though at half forward. Bailey Williams sends them into attack once more. And Waitman claimed the mark there, but it hit the ground. He juggled it down, and like a cricketer trying to claim one in the slips, pretended as if he caught it when it hit the deck. Umpire didn't fall for it. Throws the ball up quickly. Grundy down to Warner. Now Parker under pressure. Football skews off the side of the boot. Barely went 15, but it's fallen into the lap of Errol Goulden, who was marked at right half back.
Meanwhile in Adelaide, round the grounds there, Crows 2-2-14, trail Hawthorn 3 straight 18, the final game of round 20. Swans go for a dash here through Goulden. Chips beyond defensive 50 here for Harry Cunningham. He's just realised that Goulden was felled. It's going to be downfield here as well. So, Errol Gould just had Liberatore coming around his outside. And that's why there was a whistle to bring him 50 metres closer here, Errol Gould. Plenty of options inside 50, but equally as many jumpers in red, white and blue. Errol Goulden drives them long into attack now for the Swans. Coming up in front, Hayward at the drop. Lloyd, who's playing an attack. Overrun there by Campbell, mopped up by Trelaw for the Bulldogs to Bramble, and now they can clear through Bailey Williams. High in the air it goes. Florent has come off his chest. Richards, and now Garcia brings it away. Back to Bramble. The Dogs can clear this time.
Bouncing ball on the wing. It favours Ugle-Hagan, who gathers it. Does well to break free of the Cunningham tackle. And then get it to Garcia. And now Richards, back to Lobb, just behind the wing. Guides it to half forward. It's a good kick for Bontempelli. Well, just set up a little bit though. And there's a free kick going to McDonald. So Bontempelli just shielded McDonald with the football. Good spot by the umpire. Into attack the Swans go. English is underneath it. And he's hit high by Grundy, who was out of position. McLean it was. And he caught English high. He'll get the free kick at left half back. Bulldogs to 7-7-49. They lead Sydney by 36 points to a 2-1-13 as we get close to half-time at the SCG.
He's set himself in the hole really well today, Tim English, hasn't he? He's had to stand under a few.
Lob goes back to Liberatore, true centre wing broadcast side. Not quite kept alive by he nor Florence, so we'll see it out of bounds for a throw-in. 7-7-49 plays 2-1-13. This is ABC Sport across ABC Radio, News Radio and the ABC Listen app. The AFL Extra button today. Back in it comes Grundy. Down to Bontempelli. The Bulldogs. Overcooks the hand pass though. Loose ball gathered. Now it's with Lloyd of the Swans. Centering ball towards half forward. Down towards Corey Warner. Jones spills it in defence for the Bulldogs. Campbell wraps him up, ball and all. And the umpire will throw it in the air. 45 out from the Dogs, from the Swans attacking goal at the round weekend.
30 seconds for the Swans to kick one that they badly need before half-time. Dogs win it though, and then trying to juggle it with Ugle-Hagan. Confidence oozing through him at the moment. Roberts' handball was misguided. Richards pedalled it forward. Garcia gathered it, gave it to Richards just outside 50. Time ticking down. Looks for Darcy, who can mark. It just evades him slightly. They'll have a boundary throw in. Left forward pocket for the Bulldogs. They've got just enough time to kick another one before half-time and maybe extend this margin out further. They lead by 36 points.
Yeah, probably should have. Real missed opportunity there from the Dogs. Kick just missed Darcy. If had hit him, which probably should have.
Umpire tosses it back in. Grundy up in front. Punches it away. Treloar the first pair of hands, but the half-time siren beats them all. And after a slight surge of home side momentum in that second term and an improved showing from the Swans, alas, that 34-point deficit at quarter time actually grows to 36 points here at half time. Just seeing Isaac Heaney, who's been cut open underneath his left eye as well. So 7-7-49, the Bulldogs lead the Swans 2-1-13. We saw in that second term Jamari Ugle-Hagan kick his second goal. Singles across the game to Bontempelli, Darcy, West, Richards and Poulter, while for the Swans, both of those goals coming in that second term to Hayden McLean and Will Hayward. 36 points is the margin here. Your experts on ABC Sport are former Eagle and Swan, Callum Sinclair, former Swan and Blue, Jason Saddington.
Well, I've mentioned it a few times. I think Saddo's fair to say, we were quite impressed with probably the response in the first 5 to 7 minutes of the of that second term with the Swans. Will Hayward started getting a bit more involved. Honourable mention to Joel Amadi, who's probably trying to find some form and get his way back in the game with two really, really strong tackles. But after that, it just feels like the bounce of the ball just went back to the Western Bulldogs. They started getting a lot of repeats inside 50. Their tolls are a real concern for the Sydney Swans now with, I guess, Melican out of the team and Parker being activated. They've had to adjust to their structure with Logan McDonald going down there in defence. Tom McCartan's playing probably a little bit shaky at the moment, but their midfield just hasn't got that drive really that the Swans have had all season. But Marcus Bontempelli's finding it way too much. Adam Treloar, just looking at some stats now, 21 disposals, 9 kicks, 12 handballs and 9 contested possessions. He's having an absolute terrific start to the game. But I don't know, I think you summed it up well, Garbs, is that Ugle-Hagan is just oozing of confidence. The way he's playing at the moment is really really impressive to see. You can see why he was probably drafted number 1, but Liam Jones is the one for me. I know he had a great first quarter, probably a little bit quieter in that second term, but as a defensive structure, Sado, you could probably comment on this, playing a bit more defensive than what I did, but he seems to just be straightening them up in defence and taking a real load off off those Western Bulldogs defenders. He's had an absolute super start to the game and feels like he's playing with a lot of leadership out there. Yeah, it's quite interesting. The chemistry of him and Lobb seems to be working really well. I mean, Jones, his ability to read the game, he's done this for a number of years now, to read the ball and intercept mark has been huge, down back for the Bulldogs. One other player I want to touch on who has probably been real indicative of the Bulldogs today is Garcia. He's an absolute bull. He's pressure to hunt, to get at the Swans. He's given away a couple of free kicks because he was
probably a little bit too aggressive in his tackling, but that intent and urgency has just been unbelievable. And when he wins the ball, he tries to take them on and break the lines. He's been really, really important player for them.
He's an interesting story. He had a really good under-18s carnival and then did his knee. So he got drafted really late. I think he picked 62 in 2019. And so he's struggled to get into the system. And therefore, there's a lot of interest in him. I think the Eagles might want him back to WA because they saw him when he was coming through. Dogs fans want him in the team. For some reason, Luke Beveridge has been reluctant, but you can see the quality that he's got.
It's exactly what they've put out there today across, the whole ground. We spoke at quarter time about the pressure from even their taller players, but Garcia absolutely brings that, and certainly in the front half. And that's just what has allowed to open up, I think, a few more contests for the Bulldogs players. And Norton just continues to get free. Probably didn't get as many marks or touches that quarter, but he had a lot of influence still in the air, bringing the ball to ground, a few tap-ons. He's been great. And Ugle-Hagan you spoke about, Cal.
I think when you speak about balls within a team, I think it's fair to say we haven't actually spoken about him, but Swans are missing James Rowbottom out there. Like, he's a real barometer. Doesn't have the flair or, I guess, you call it the talent that the Gordons, the Warners and the Heens have got. But I'll tell you what, he plays a very important role in that Swans midfield. And you're probably looking at guys now like Mills and Parker, don't get me wrong, great, haven't played a lot of footy. And you come up against a team that probably matched up the best against the Swans. But to be honest, if the Bulldogs continue to play like this and they make the top 8, you would not want to play them. If they play this brand, it's probably a little bit disappointing for a Bulldogs fan at the moment. Where was this at the start of the season? Because they're playing like a top 4 team. And I couldn't see many, don't get me wrong, the Swans are definitely off and they are the best team in the competition. But there wouldn't be many sides out there that would beat the Western Bulldogs with how they're playing today. Their ferocity around the contest, their aerial contests have been a real strength. And I completely agree with you. The chemistry between Jones and Lobb at the moment is it's happened very, very sudden. But mate, every time their key defenders go for a mark in the air, they're looking really, really good, really clean. And every time they're going in the air, it looks like they're going to take it.
They were the original outside the top 4 challenger, weren't they?
Yeah.
Won that flag in 2016. I guess there's the nature of the bye week as well. The fact that we now do see teams having a real crack out on the top 4, and yes, a win today would reaffirm their place in the 8. And from there, given how tight it is, who knows how they can push up over the next or the final month of the home and away season. They lead here by 36 points at half time. The Western Bulldogs 7-7-49 to the Sydney Swans 2-1-13. By the way, at the moment, late in the opening term in Adelaide, Hawthorn 5 straight 30 leads the Crows 3-4-22. Earlier at the MCG, Collingwood defeated Richmond by 26 points. That's the story of your AFL Sunday so far. Right now, time for ABC News.
ABC News with Satyam Weinstein. Tony Burke will replace Claire O'Neill as Minister for Home Affairs and take on Andrew Giles' job of Immigration Minister as part of a major shake-up of the federal government frontbench. The cabinet reshuffle will see Ms O'Neill become Minister for Housing and Mr Giles Minister for Skills and Training. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese says the pair had a tough job.
Peter Dutton left a mess in the portfolios in which he held. What Claire O'Neill and Andrew Giles have had to do is to repair the damage which has been done.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is cutting short his visit to the United States following a rocket attack on the Israeli-occupied Golan Heights that killed 12 people. More from the BBC's Paul Adams.
This is precisely what people have been worried about, have been fearing for the past 10 months, that this simmering conflict along Israel's northern border with Lebanon would result in a mass fatality event which would trigger a much bigger conflict. I think it is inevitable that Israel will reply. If you think back to the attack by a Yemeni Houthi drone on Tel Aviv a week or so ago that killed one civilian, Israel's response to that attack was pretty quick and pretty severe. So I think we can expect something of the same.
And the Israeli military says it struck Hezbollah militant targets in Lebanon. It says airstrikes targeted weapons caches and infrastructure. Australia will look to continue its run of medals at the Paris Olympics, with the second day of competition getting underway tonight. Fraser Fife with more.
Australia leads the medal tally with 3 gold and 2 silver heading into day 2. Australia's campaign in the pool will continue with Ariane Titmus once again in action in the 200-metre freestyle alongside Molly O'Callaghan. Tyler Wright and Ethan Ewing will be riding waves as the second round of surfing gets underway in Tahiti. The Matildas need a result against Zambia to keep their Olympic campaign alive. Rebecca Henderson has a chance at a medal in the women's cross-country mountain bike finals, and Australia's top-ranked tennis player Alex de Minaur will feature as action continues at Roland Garros.
The New South Wales Premier, Chris Minns, has announced to the state's Labor Party conference his government will empower the Industrial Relations Commission to set minimum wages and conditions for food delivery drivers and other gig economy workers. Mr Minns was greeted with the hero's welcome at the conference, although some members of the Electrical Trades Union refused to join a standing ovation, and a lone protester hung a Palestinian flag over the balcony as he entered the room. Mr Minns told party faithful that gig workers who are treated as independent contractors by the apps they work for have been deprived of rights for too long.
Delegates, we will introduce legislation this year, empower the Industrial Commission to set minimum pay and conditions for gig workers in the transport sector, and will provide workers with remedies for unfair treatment. This will be the first time these workers will be protected by labour laws in the history of New South Wales.
New South Wales police say early investigations suggest an officer who fatally shot a man wielding a knife in Sydney's southwest responded appropriately. A 34-year-old man was tasered after he struck a 33-year-old male officer with a knife in Middleton Grange last night. Police say that proved ineffective. He was fatally shot. Police Assistant Commissioner Brett McFadden says while critical incident investigation is underway, officers had to respond in the interest of public safety.
It's a devastating thing for the family that's of the 34-year-old male to have to come to terms with, but very proud of my police that they, again, put themselves in harm's way and they meet the challenge that is facing the harm to their community. I'm not going to go into the specifics of what's on the video. Suffice to say that it's unfolded in a matter of seconds.
Thousands of demonstrators have protested in Istanbul against a law they fear will lead to the mass killing of stray dogs across Turkey. The Turkish government estimates there are around 4 million stray dogs in the country. The proposed legislation mandates municipalities collect stray dogs and house them in shelters where they can be spayed or euthanized if they're terminally ill or pose a risk to human health. Animal rights activists are worried many dogs will be put down or end up neglected in overcrowded shelters. And Venezuelan golfer Jonathan Vegas holds a narrow one-shot lead heading into the final round of the PGA's Blaine Open in Minnesota. The 39-year-old birdied 6 of the 8 final holes for an 8-under par 63, giving him the lead over American Matt Kuchar and Maverick McNeely. Australian Cam Davis is 5 shots back from the lead, tied for 6. You're up to date with the latest from ABC News.
Looking for an easy way to find out what's happening in the world of sport? Stay up to date with the week's best sports stories, highlights and analysis with the ABC Sport newsletter.
Oh, that is amazing!
It's sports content to make you think or allow you not to. Delivered to your inbox every Saturday.
Game, set, bingo!
To sign up and get the latest sports news each week, head to abc.net.au/connect, scroll down and select ABC Sport. This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Adams pops it long inside 50. Heaney gets a hand pass off to Hayward, who can tumble it through. Karmas flew a little too early. He's worked to a couple of sets of hands, and in the end, Will Hayward obliges.
Wicks though at half forward. He's coming to the side for Papley on his left. Goes inside 50. McLean is marked. Now McLean will kick the 45-degree angle, 35 metres out. It's a goal anyway. You didn't need the 50 metres. McLean's on the board. The Swans have 2 in a row.
Caulfield pops it back inside 50 here for the Bulldogs. Hugo Hagen this time clunks a simple overhead grab. He was out in front of the pack. Here he is for his second of the afternoon. And again, makes no mistake, Jamara Hugo Hagen to pull the game back on the Bulldogs' term.
Bontempelli, clean handball to Garcia. And now Richards. Well done, Bulldogs, to bounce away from that contest. Richards drives them into attack. Norton couldn't mark. Paddles it towards Vandermeer. Handball over the top. Darcy will kick it from a couple of metres out. Fantastic football, Western Bulldogs.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
A strong opening half here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. The way of the Western Bulldogs, 7-7-49, plays Sydney 2-1-13. The Swans still have status as premiership favourites, but the question is for how much longer after injuries have befallen them, and also this, as I say, a slow start to the game. 34 points the margin at quarter time, and now a game high 36 at the major break here at the SCG. This is ABC Sport for your Sunday afternoon. Brett Sprigg is my name. Daniel Garve alongside me calling the action. Your experts, Jason Saddington, Callum Sinclair with Poppy Penny on the boundary. Earlier at the MCG, Collingwood beat Richmond 14-9-93 to 9-13-67. As I mentioned, we saw 42 touches for Nick Dacos and 32 for Josh Dacos. The highlights there. Dan McStay kicked a few goals as well for the Pies. It keeps them in touch with that pack of contenders, of which the Bulldogs are certainly a part, as are Hawthorn. They're playing right now, the Hawks. They've kicked 5 straight 30. They lead Adelaide only just 4-5-29 as we approach quarter time at Adelaide Oval. So we'll keep you across what's happening there. If you want to hear a full call of that, and in fact the Crows have just drawn level, so it's 4-6-30 to 5 straight 30. You can hear a full call of that on the ABC Listen app. Just look for the main ABC AFL button. It's the best place to find a full call of every game of the year. The ABC Listen app. As I say, we approach the final month of the home and away season next week, round 21. And then from there, it's well and truly the run home. We'll see if the Swans can keep their pace or if the rest of them do start to catch up. A very intriguing second half coming up here on ABC Sport. Round the grounds across other sports. In the NRL competition, Rugby League in Wollongong, Penrith have beaten St George Illawarra 46 points to 10. Live score at Lang Park, Dolphins 18, leads Gold Coast 0 in the first half. There are also NRLW games today in which Gold Coast beat St George Illawarra 18 to 10, and it's just gone full time at Campbelltown. Raiders, Canberra 32, have beaten West Tigers 12. Of course, the Olympics is continuing. Of course, a big night in the pool on night one of competition at the Aquatic Centre, already with 3 gold medals, including Grace Brown's road cycling gold as well. So that is a strong start first up for the Aussies. We have ABC Sport coverage if you are in regional areas or in other markets around the country, such as Canberra, Hobart, Adelaide and Darwin. And as I say, through regional areas, you'll have coverage coming up after the footy, finishing up much later on tonight from our dedicated Olympic broadcast team. Sado, Olympic sport, where's your focus the Paris Games this year?
I'm a slow burn into these Olympics. I haven't got into it yet.
Well, it's the first weekend, so you've been busy with footy stuff as well. It's one of those things.
When you've got kids, the middle of the night stuff, it's harder to get into. But, everyone loves the Olympics, don't they? I've got to get into it. I'm a real fan of some of the team sports. I love basketball, so...
the Boomers are a big talking point. They always are. Cal, what's your Olympic go-to?
I'm a cycling guy. Not that I cycle myself, but I do enjoy watching the Velodrome and watch them go. I'm not sure what the event's called, but when
Madison
they go...
or the Kieran? Is it one of those ones?
No, it's one of the ones where they go a little bit slow and it's one-on-one. I really enjoy that aspect of it. But I actually had a very big argument with my partner last night, who was a big fan of the opening ceremony. I thought I wasn't a big fan, didn't really like it. Felt like if you were an attendee to the opening ceremony, you wouldn't know where to go and what it sort of looked like. But that and gymnastics, Spriggy. I'm a big gymnastics fan.
Simone Biles will be a big one this
Huge.
I'm right into it. My wife and I ended up watching a table tennis match in the early hours of the morning between a girl from the Maldives and a girl from Poland.
Right.
So that is how into the Olympics we are in the early stages.
Right there.
What I did find interesting was that the surfing is in Vanuatu.
Tahiti.
Tahiti, which was very interesting.
But a great start in the pool for the Aussies. Titmus again. And the relay team, they are just the Invincibles, and loved the men's relays to win the silver. They came from nowhere to win silver. That was a great start to the day. Yeah.
So there you go, plenty happening.
And Grace Brown last night, of course.
Yes, plenty happening there at the Paris Games. Sam Reid has just finished his lap of honour, so this is fantastic. A way for the Swans fans to farewell a premiership hero and a much-loved figure for fans in red and white. Sam Reid sort of waving farewell. He's got his 2 kids with him and his wife, and just enjoying his sort of slapping hands and embracing some of the Swans fans. I'm sure some of the ones that he knows as he makes his way back down the Paul Kelly race. The teams are back out there as well. The Swans warming up at the Randwick end, and the Bulldogs greet them at the middle of the SCG as well. But 36 points is that lead the way of the Western Bulldogs. As you said, Galby, they have had fight backs before in games, the Swans, after slow starts, but 6 goals at half time and already down with players missing. Melican now subbed out, Parker in the action. There is just a sign of general fatigue, as we said, around this group. Question is, Jason Saddington, how do they fight their way back into the game?
I can't see it happening at the moment, and some of the reasons, I mean, you look at the midfield, Warner's had 5 touches, which is way down on his impact. Heaney's had 15, but he hasn't probably been explosive. He hasn't really had huge impact on the game with his 15 touches. Goulden 12, he's normally winning a bit more footy. So let's just say around the ball, they need to start getting their hands on it a bit more, the Swans, if they want to win. The trouble for them is, though, McDonald's had to go back to fill a hole. That doesn't help you win a game of football when you need to kick goals at the other end. Roberts has been good across half-back, but he's not damaging. You want Nick Blakey getting 20 touches across half-back. He's going to win you the game. So it's where that spark's coming from. There's no Papley in the forward line to kick some goals and get the energy going. I'm not sure where it's coming from today for the Swans.
A few more numbers, Garby, to half-time.
Adam Treloar outstanding again. So 20 disposals, 9 of them contested, 3 score involvements. What a season he's having. Rory Lobb, 13. Bontempelli, 13 with the goal, and 4 inside 50s. Richards and Dale and Liberatore all with 12. Norton's been really good with the 11. For the Swans, Matt Roberts active across half-back, 20 touches. Heaney's been busy with 16. Goulden just the 12. And as we said, Warner, 5 touches to half-time. His lowest number for the season is 19 in a game. And Callum Mills, just the 4 disposals. The captain really taking a while to get going after so long out.
So 36 points is the Bulldogs' lead here as the Shadows have made their way across the entire playing surface here at the SCG. Still a sunny late Sunday afternoon. What does this game have in store for us on the run home? Here is Daniel Garb on ABC Sport.
It'll be a comeback to eclipse all others, and that would be saying something for the Sydney Swans this season if they can beat the Dogs from here. 6 goals the margin. English palms are down. Florent off the back of the square won it to Parker. He's on as the sub. Wider to Lloyd. Now to half forward, and Wicks is there. He's battled to get into the game, coming into the side for Papley. Over the boundary line it goes, right half forward for the Swans.
Parker start in the middle.
Good opportunity for Luke to maybe cement his spot going into the crucial months of the year.
That's the thing, there will be finals. It's just a question of how many of them for the Swans. Grundy down here looking for Chad Warner. Getting there first, though, Bailey Williams. Tries again with a hand pass to the outer side. Run there for Richards. Little 1-2 ball with Treloar. Has room to bounce, does Richards. Steps inside Roberts. He's still going at Richards. Kicks towards 50. Back there first is McCartan in defence. Tries to share it there with Cunningham. Gets it away towards Jordan. Slips the tackle under real pressure. It was good forward 50 pressure that time from a couple down there. McNeil and West. And the hand pass eventually for the Swans goes out of bounds for a throw-in. So a stoppage inside 50 here for the Bulldogs. Looking to add to their 36-point lead at this age's third term.
Jordan started in a tagging role on Ed Richards. They've released that pretty early, the Swans, because it wasn't doing much for them in the grand scheme of things. Boundary thrown inside 50 for the Bulldogs. Picked up by Bontempelli. Handball to Bailey Williams. Back further to Lockie Bramble. Gets around on his right. Breaks the tackle. Keeps going. Snaps towards goal. McCartan marks before it crosses the goal line. Oh, no, he's turned it straight over to Riley West. West couldn't mark, though. Florin is there. My goodness, almost a horrible mistake from McCartan. Now to Logan McDonald, who's playing deep in defence. The clearing kick off hands. Those of Hayward. Corey Warner's there. Looks for Jordan at left half back. Now gets it back from James Jordan. In fact, it was Parker. Now to Warner. Breaks free of a tackle. Dogs putting enormous pressure on the Swans. Now Wicks is caught. Eventually they get it to Corey Warner, who just throws it on the boot. It'll bounce and stay in. Hayward slipped over though. Treloar can gather, and now Caulfield is caught by Amati and caught holding the ball. Geez, they work so hard to release defensive 50, the Swans, and now Marty's turned it over.
Richards
this is a mess.
Down across Chad Warner, and Warner lays the follow-up tackle there on McNeil, gives away the free kick. Meanwhile, he's still down, Nick Caulfield, getting helped off in the hands of trainers, so more on that in a second. Lockie McNeil
He's having a shaky game, Tom McCartan.
45-degree kick here towards Bailey Dale. In his 150th game. The veteran Bulldog. Attacking side of the wing. Sets it high inside forward 50. Blakey with the spoil from the back. Bontempelli picks up. Heaney tackles him. Umpire says give it to me for a ball up. 20 out from the Bulldogs attacking goal.
Would contest that, Heaney and Bontempelli.
It is. Well, you say Joel Amarty's probably been one of the best pressure players. It says a little bit about the Swans today, doesn't it?
Bontempelli can't get clean hands on it. Norton is caught, spills free. Heaney back to Florent in front of his own defensive goal square. Pokes it over the top. Wicks is there, needs to gather it cleanly. He doesn't. Dale tackles him over the boundary line, right half forward for the Bulldogs. Down to Poppy Penny on the boundary.
Yeah, Nick Caulfield came off and in the interchange gates was basically on all fours. He could just be winded, but he's sitting on the bench now and having a chat with the doctors at the moment.
All right, so we'll keep an eye on that one. Umpire tosses it back in. Grundy up in front. Down to Waitman, but Grundy meets in front on straight away. Gives away the free kick, which can be expected with the height differential. Some players do play for them.
He's got a reputation.
Yes. So Waitman will take the set shot.
I think that was there.
5-degree angle, right-hand side of the field.
Grundy was a bit lazy there.
Definitely like the intent of Grundy, though, Sato, just to try and get some energy and aggression back into that Swans midfield, who generally is one of the more damaging midfields in the competition, but definitely struggling today.
And go on, Cal. Who, as a big man, who was the worst one to tackle because of the... I'll come back to you on that. Waitman kicks from 50, starts right, wobbles away to the right-hand side, want to score. Who was the most notorious ducker of your time?
The notorious ducker. Oh, Selwood wasn't
Joel
great.
Selwood,
He was a shocker, but I caught Caleb Daniel once holding the ball.
Let him do it.
And still got him high, believe it or not, but they didn't... the decision was in my favour.
He's the sub for the Bulldogs today. Your old teammate Luke Shuey wasn't too bad either.
Yes.
Yeah.
It was a shocker, actually.
He knew how to win one,
That's
for sure. Port fans will remember that in a final, of course. Dogs have it on the wing. They've trapped Sydney inside their own defensive half. Liam Jones having an excellent game. Won the free kick. And short to Bailey Dale in his 150th. The All-Australian from 2021. Oh, he's kicked it straight into Joel Amarty on the mark. Duray gathers it back to Dale, so no real damage done. Parts from the damage done to Joel Amarty's head, perhaps, after he spoiled it. Jones switches it. It's a lob, as Buku Kamas running off him on the wing. Guides it to Bailey Williams, so controlling the game superbly, the Western Bulldogs, with this 37-point lead. Now Williams will play on and kick them deep into attack. Norton will leap. Got a hand to it, picked it up. Handball to Bontempelli. Oh, they'll just cruise in through Lockie McNeil. No pressure at all from the Swans, deep in defence. That was like a training drill for the Bulldogs. And Lockie McNeil's on the board with his first of the game. The margin, can you believe it, at the SCG is out to 43 points in favour of the Bulldogs.
Well, even Aaron Norton probably should have marked the ball in the first instance. He had a free run at it. He just got himself a bit tangled up in his own body and couldn't take it. But when he hit the deck, there was still no Swans players intent on winning that footy, was there? It was an easy pick up and dish out to McNeil for one of the softest of goals off a slow entry.
Poppy, down to you on the boundary.
Good news, Nick Caulfield is back on the ground for the Bulldogs.
What's interesting is just their ability to kind of look inside the corridor and spot. The Bulldogs can obviously spot someone up. Rory Lobb in that instance with no real pressure. It just looks like the Swans are being taken away from their defensive structure.
Back in the middle, Grundy wins it down only as far as Liberatore. Tumbles his kick to half forward. Oh, clean bowled Florent. Fox in his 100th game. Off here to Roberts, who's run down as well. Inside attacking 50 for the Bulldogs.
And McNeil deserved that goal too. I mean, he's just laid a strong tackle there. He like Garcia, have been great at the contest today in that front half.
Grundy out of the ruck, gets boot to ball. Goulden chasing to the outer wing. He's got Dale with him as well. Goulden shares it with McLean. Back to Wicks, who can snap down the line. It's a little wide of Buku Kamas and goes out of bounds for a throw-in in front of the scoreboard. 65 around for the Swans attacking goal at the Paddington end of the SCG. 8 gone, third term. Bulldogs 8-8-56. The Swans are 2-1-13. This is Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
They have not seen this, the Swans faithful, all season. When they've lost a game, it's been by a very small margin. They're being smashed at the moment, but Goulden's intercepted this at half forward, runs in on his left and misses. They needed that one badly to just give them a bit of hope of getting back into this game. So behind, the Bulldogs lead is 42 points. Yeah, all of their losses, I think it's a combined total of 10 points. Yep. They're trailing by 42. 8 minutes gone in the third term.
4 losses for a total of 10 points. They've not been challenged like this so late in a game. Big spiral kick out here from Rory Lobb. He loves the defensive kick out. It's gone all the way to halfway, marked though by Blakey. So Blakey goes short to Chad Warner. Impressive kick as far as distance, but it wasn't the target. But Warner tries to find the target of Goulden in 50. He spills the grab. Bugu Karmas has room to bounce off left half back. And his kick, in turn, just takes some of the chalk before going out of bounds for a throw-in.
Tell you what, they're off.
Yeah.
Farrell Gordon's dropping marks like that there. I don't know if it's their concentration, whether they're mentally in this game or not, but that was a Joe the Goose mark there, and very unlike Errol.
Sloppy Swans on a Sunday afternoon at the SCG. The Bulldogs have some bite about them. They've made them pay. Mills to Grundy and now Heaney. That's just a high ball to half forward. Karmas is underneath it. He's happy to palm that down to Bailey Williams. Barely any pressure on him as he sends it back to the wing. Grundy's there with Darcy. Mills gathers it. There's Florent in support. Amble over the top to Wicks. They work it to half forward. Now DeRay gets a hand in. And wrapped up is Richards by Wicks. Ball up, just outside attacking 50 for the Swans. The Dogs lead by 42 points.
Up it goes. Comes to Goulden. Off to Florent. Off balance with a kick inside 50. A little too low for Lobb. Parker was waiting for it as well. Gathered by Jones in defence. His hand pass picked off. Parker attempts a left foot snap. Falls back to Mills. And now McLean sweeps it wide all the way back to Heaney. 45 from goal. Centering ball. Diving in. A little too low it was. Down there for Campbell. And now slapped forward by Adams. Ends up through Parker and Mills, who can snap. A couple of class names combined for a very important goal for the Swans. They'll need far more of that. But Parker with the finish in the end cuts that margin back to 36 points. 8-8-56. Swans 3-2-20. It was Parker to Mills. Mills with the finish. And the Swans do in fact find something midway through this third term on ABC Sport.
Well, it wasn't pretty, Sato. No. They needed something and they finally got it, but it was just a bit of dirty ball going inside 50, tapped on by Parker. He had a couple of efforts but were smothered, but just needed a bit of luck, didn't they? Just to kind of get some sort of spark back into their game, because it has been all Dogs so far. And not a bad little kick there from, I think it was Isaac Heaney who kicked it to Braden Campbell, but Callum Mills, super for his confidence, who hasn't had a lot of the footy today. Really, what's he had?
8 disposals.
Only 8 disposals.
You'd only had 4 to half time.
Correct.
So he has woken up in this third term. You can see the emotion come out of him as he kicked that goal. Frustration probably laced in there somewhere, considering his slow start. Here's a free kick to the Swans at half forward. So chance for them to look at 2 in a row. It's been won by Corey Warner. The captain, Callum Mills, trying to lift his team. Warner on his left. Goes to the top of the square. Amati's camped underneath it. Off hands. Bontempelli's there. He'll throw it on the boot quickly and clear defensive 50. There are Swans around this though. McCartan marks. Hits the ground running in front of Norton. Looks for Parker. Just overcooked it a bit. Parker might have caught the play down there in Bailey Williams high. Play on's the call. Boundary throw in it will be. Inside attacking 50 for the Swans, who are just starting to put some pressure on. They need to find a couple in a row though.
That is how they started the second quarter, didn't they? Just had a bit more urgency and bite about them, but they need to hit the scoreboard, get some reward.
English down to West. Garcia gets involved, hurries his kick up the line here. Only goes as far though as Roberts for the Swans. Now Florent, wide back to Fox. Shares it back to Florent. Blakey bursting to the middle of the SCG. Off to Adams. Goes back by hand to Fox again. It's just an awkward little chain of hand passes here. Roberts underground hand pass back to Blakey. Back to the unmarked man Adams. Pops it inside 50, but who was there? Only Tim English, who intercepts for the Bulldogs. And again, he comes beyond defensive. 50 to find Norton. His fellow West Australian marks it left half back. Dogs lead by 36 points. 13 gone third term.
Did so well there, the Dogs, to ensure the Swans couldn't run away with it from the middle of the ground. Excellent pressure again. Richards wide to DeRay. Now to West, kicks to half forward. Good mark by English. He's lifted. And a quiet achiever for the Dogs, up to post to Brodie Grundy. Hasn't had that many disposals, but done some important things. Tim English kicks him inside 50. Blakey will come out and mark this. Uncontested at the front of the pack. And he'll go straight to centre half back and find Jake Lloyd. He plays on quickly.
That pass comes to Goulden. Little show and go away here from McNeil. Goes high inside 50. Buku Khamis missed it. Parker competes against two of them. Snaps away from Jones. Still going here. Back to Hayward. Run down from behind by Ballydale. Footy comes loose. Back to Parker. Works it all the way back here. Adams to Goulden. Flying shot from 40. Is it there? You betcha! Well, the Swans are finding goals. Can they find enough of them? Margin back to a clean 30. Bulldogs 88-56, Sydney 4-2-26, 14 gone third term. ABC Sport this Sunday afternoon. Your experts are Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington.
He's got some quick ball movement going, a couple of quick hands, broke up through the middle of the ground, and Parker, unbelievable few contests there from him, wasn't it? He was outnumbered, but he was able to just get a tap in and win the footy and kept that ball in the front half, wait for the cavalry to arrive. It's exactly what the Swans needed. Take this momentum, kick some goals. You never know what can build off the back of it. Dogs, they're probably just a little bit flat and slow at the moment.
Down to Poppy on the boundary.
Yeah, you mentioned Luke Parker. He just got a standing ovation from the crowd around the bench as he came off for a rotation then.
Well, that act inside 50 had a lot of Swans fans shaking their heads as to why he was named the sub today. It was an interesting call, but he's having an impact now, Luke Parker. So the Dogs lead, pegged back to 30 points. Liberatore extracts it from a contest in the middle of the ground. It's him inside 50. Cunningham's there's given us straight to Ugle-Hagan, though. Ugle-Hagan with the immediate reply for the Dogs. That's what they needed after 2 in a row for the Swans, and Ugle-Hagan has 3.
What
the Dogs get the game back on their terms. That's such an important major. The lead is 36 points.
You felt like that was a bit of a statement there from Ugle-Hagan, but I tell you what, a guy of that size to move with a sidestep like that was terrific, and good sign there from the Bulldogs midfield just to reset after probably losing momentum there for a couple of minutes with the Swans. To be honest, Sato showing a little bit of emotion, a bit of fight in that first 5 minutes, but that was certainly a smack in the face from the Bulldogs to the Swans, saying, no, we're taking control of this game.
It was a lovely finish, wasn't it? He probably bellied a few balls with his snaps earlier in the game, and he's hit that one a treat.
A close one in Adelaide. Hawthorn back in front over the Crows. 6-1-37 plays 5-6-36. Midway through the second term there. Earlier, Collingwood beat Richmond by 26 at the MCG. Restart middle here at the SCG. Overrun by Chad Warner. Treloar tries to get it going forward. And now Garcia beaten by Chad Warner again, but the footy stays on the deck. Sliding in there first. Down there is Vandermeer for the Bulldogs. We'll come back to the umpire for a ball up on the corner of that centre square. Numbers around the ball here with the Bulldogs. Treloar slips a very lazy Mills tackle. Goes inside forward 50, but it's intercepted by McCartan. He beat this time Darcy through the air. And McCartan will start again from fullback here for Sydney.
We'll go short Tom McCartan to Harry Cunningham. A couple of metres outside his own defensive goal. Short to Mills. Just lifts the palms of his hands up, Mills, to say, where are the runners? What are my options? So he goes laterally wide to Matt Roberts, leading possession getter for the Swans. Disposal number 23 coming up for him. Now he'll go on the 45 and find Cunningham, and they'll try and get some run. Cunningham will give it back to Roberts at centre half back. The big switch is on to Lloyd. He can mark and keep going from left half back. There's a player on a lead. That's Corey Warner. He'll mark it just forward of the wing. On his left, he'll guide it to Blakey. He loves hitting the ground running. Kicks them inside 50, but straight to Buku Khamis. Didn't have too many options of note, Nick Blakey, but that is a turnover straight to Khamis inside defensive 50 for the Dogs.
Khamis goes back to Rory Lobb, the new defender.
A good one too.
Stands there at fullback. No real urgency here for the Bulldogs. As the former Giant Docker slips over under some pressure there as comes back to Bramble, and now wide to Poulter. Got one higher from Blakey and wins the free kick accordingly. 18 gone, third quarter, ABC Sport. Bulldogs lead here by 36 points. Kick comes in, ball almost there for Adams. Garcia ducks the Adams tackle. Footy comes loose. Grundy dispossessed. That man Caulfield. The Swans go back inside 50. It's marked by Campbell. Campbell 45 out directly in front. It was a neat entry for the Sydney Swans on that occasion for Chad Warner to find Braden Campbell, and he's directly in front, 40 out, as I said.
This should just be a walk-up start for Braden Campbell, just to put this one through the sticks. Just a nice little low 5-iron, I think there, Garbs.
Academy lad from Pennant Hills, his left foot kick from just beyond 50. No angle to speak of, but he misses just to the right-hand side.
Just pulled it, Garbs.
Tried to hit an 8-iron too hard, I think.
9-8-62 the Bulldogs. The Swans are 4-3, 27-19 gone, third term ABC Sport.
Just rolled over those hands a bit too early there, Garbs.
It was a beautiful kick of the football. He told everyone, no, I'm taking this. This was such a long kick, but didn't quite execute. Big opportunity miss for Sydney. What's happened here? Well, Rory Lobb took the mark. For some reason, Errol Goulden thought he'd stepped off the mark and chased him down, and the umpire said, well, no, that's 50. Errol Goulden arguing with the umpires, which he has a bit of a reputation of doing. There's Lobb. Handballs it on the wing, and now Ugle-Hagen's been spotted up inside 50. The kick came from DeRay. Ugle-Hagen was out on the lead, had some separation. That was far too easy for the Dogs against a Swans side that have just dropped their heads a little bit.
It's like the Swans defenders got caught in the bog. I'm not quite sure how he got so much space and free.
Ugle-Hagen for his fourth goal. It's across the face. Tom McCartan punches it away from the contest. Bouncing ball inside 50 for the Bulldogs. Richards picks it up. Goes back to Buku Khamis. He missed it. Doesn't matter. There's 4 Bulldogs waiting. Bramble kicks them back into attack. Waitman leapt for it, and he's won a free kick for a hold.
Nah, that was there. He got held mid-air.
Against Harry Cunningham. Swans fans don't like it. It won't matter. Cody Waitman with a chance to extend the Bulldogs' lead to 41 points.
I'm with you, Cal. Definite free kick. As he's trying to jump, is it Cunningham's kind of put his arms around him, and he couldn't actually follow through with his leap into the air, Waitman.
Good thing about Waitman is how he plays. Sado always makes a contest in the air for a small forward. Generally, those guys are really at ground level, but
this might just break Sydney's spirit. If there's any of that left, Waitman's missed an easy opportunity though. 30 out, slight angle across the face. He remains goalless for the afternoon. The Bulldogs lead is 36 points. Here's Brett Sprigg on ABC Sport.
Lakey to kick out from that round weekend of the SCG. Just haven't quite put the game away yet. 36 points is not an unassailable lead here in modern footy, as now free kick will go the way of the Bulldogs for a chop into the arms. Wicks on Buku Khamis. Meanwhile, in Adelaide, the Crows now lead there. 6-6-22 plays Hawthorn 6-137 midway through the second term. Khamis short kick down the pipe to find Richards. Still 65 from goal. Just hit time on here in the third term of this game. Richards can dance around Goulden. Close to 50. Eyes the big sticks. Is the finish there from Richards? No. Just misses to the left-hand side. So again, a chance goes begging. 9-11-65. The Bulldogs, 4-3-27 the Swans. In fact, 37 point, 9-10-64 it is for the Bulldogs.
It's a weapon of a left foot, Richards, isn't it? The goal he kicked in the first quarter was just brutal off the foot. That one as well.
Swans struggling to get this out of their own defensive 50. 3 possessions and they're just outside their own goal square. Now McCartan will have to go long. Jordan's there. Clean hands. Stands up in the tackle. Then lost the handle in the end. Here's Riley West into the forward pocket. Norton with a massive grab. He came from nowhere over the top of that contest. Leapt over 3 of them and hauled it in. What a superstar he is. He's taken this grab in the right forward pocket. He could swing around on his left.
He had no right to mark that footy. What a leap. He's got the best hands in the comp. Him and Jesse Hogan, 2 unbelievable contested marking players.
Aaron Norton for his first of the game, it hits the post. He deserves a goal.
Yeah.
He really got the Dogs going in the first quarter. That was a huge grab.
Probably a bit frustrating if you're a Dogs fan. They could have sealed this game the last 5 or 6 minutes, but just inaccuracy in front of goal, still giving Swans a sniff.
38 points. Their lead, though, the Bulldogs. Kick comes beyond defensive, 50 from the kick out. Gordon comes through. Karmas wraps him up immediately, and it will be a free kick for a high tackle.
It's strange to say that, isn't it, Cal, that the Swans are still a sniff. What's happened in this game, the fact that they're actually still feels like there's a chance they could just rip it open.
Gordon to Mills, to Heaney, back to his skipper. Mills just sort of slides the kick off the instep now. Wicks couldn't gather. Dogs have numbers. Vandermeer off here to his skipper, Bontempelli. Slips the Florent tackle. Just got the hand pass away. Still going here, the Bulldogs. Norton inside 50. Taps it out for Waitman. A little too wide. Cunningham mops up in defence. He missed it as well. So too McCartan. And Ugle-Hagan wrapped up by Cunningham. Will ball out 30 out from the Bulldogs attacking goal.
Sloppy for both sides there, Shadow. I don't know what we were looking at.
The scoreboard, Swans still a chance in terms of the margin, not on the balance of play, but nowhere near it today. As Florent slaps it away, but Treloar gathers it inside attacking 50. Ugle-Hagan with the don't argue, now on his right, looking for his fourth. He has got it. Jamari Ugle-Hagan taking matters into his own hands and sending the Bulldogs out to a 44-point lead at the SCG.
Putting this out there, he's playing like a young Buddy Franklin.
Well, he's kicked 4 goals 2 weeks in a row now.
Exactly right.
12 goals in 3 games.
But his strength, his improvement in his strength, Sato, is amazing in the last 12 months. He's fending off, this ability to just probably kick on both sides of his body at the moment.
That was on the right.
Yeah, kick on both sides of his body at the moment and penetrate through the big six. He's a massive handful today and clearly the best player on ground today. He has been outstanding.
It was always a comparison for him, wasn't it, Buddy Franklin?
Yep.
In his draft year, that's who they likened him to, and you're right, Cal, it's exactly what he looks like. But to snap one on the left earlier and now one on the right, it's pretty impressive.
Well, that's why people have had high expectations of this team, because of the potential, and he sums that up.
25 gone, third term. You're on ABC Sport. Clearance goes by the Bulldogs here. Liberatore comes wide here. Vandermeer pops it inside 50. Darcy this time goes up, can't really in the grab. Waitman sees it towards the boundary line for a throw-in. Deep in the left forward pocket, the Randwick end.
I think they're trying to find out who's playing on Ugle-Hagan. That centre bounce, he had no one on him. No one wants to take him at the moment. Logan McDonald.
Swans have looked so flat, just all at sea at times so far this afternoon. Grundy wins it to the outside. Liberatore ushers it toward the line now. Kept the love on Tempelli. The skipper centering ball here towards Waitman. In fact, it's Norton who's outnumbered down there. And the Swans defenders rush it through for a minor score. 10-12-72 the Bulldogs leading Sydney, who are 4-3-27 as we approach three-quarter time.
So 12 goals in his last 3 games, Ugle-Hagan, and there's still a quarter to go in this one. Talk about a purple patch of form. Swans have worked this to centre half forward. Taylor Adams has taken the overhead mark. Handball to Lloyd. Just pokes it through to Amadi, but the Dogs got hands on it and they win it back inside defensive 50. Caulfield just squeezes it out of that area with a grubber kick to Poulter. And now to Sam Darcy. Swans looking as if the spirit has been sapped from them now. Here's Tim English on the wing. It's a slow run back into defence for Sydney. Had that feeling about them all afternoon.
Wow.
Now Sam Darcy's taken a mark uncontested at half forward. And he pokes it over the top to Bontempelli, who had about 5 metres either side of him.
This is embarrassing ball movement to be allowed by the Swans at the moment. 3 or 4 opportunities there just to very un-Swans-like, Sato. They would be closing those uncontested marks, particularly in last week, even though they lost. But
Bontempelli will strike this up against the boundary line, left half forward. Happy to take time off the clock and just set it up. Ugle-Hagan's there again. Grundy's under pressure, gets the handball free. Warner needs to release it. He runs away, but he kicks to absolutely no one. Straight down the throat of Nick Caulfield. And Sydney just have no structure forward of the ball whatsoever. Dogs lead by 45.
Caulfield to Karmas, wide to Bramble. Lucky Bramble, I always point this out, wears number 29 because Neil Cordy, that was his number. Neil Cordy taught his dad at school. Now, of course, Neil Cordy, good friend of ours at ABC Sport, played for both these clubs. It's the Neil Cordy Cup. which has been well and truly the Dogs' keeping so far today. This kick has gone out of bounds for a throw-in. But yes, I do love that. Fancy saying, I want Neil Cordy's old number, which is fantastic. As we approach three-quarter time here in the Sunday twilight of the SCG. Back in it comes. Grundy to the outside. Liberatore says out of bounds. Nothing against cause.
No, but I love
obscure. Like it's. I love it.
We didn't give you much.
You were selling it.
No.
You were selling it. You were selling it hard.
I'm happy. I've got my own sort of train of thought going. Did you play with Matt Spanger at the Eagles? Was Spang there when you?
No, I missed Spang probably by a couple of years at both clubs. Okay. So, yeah, good chat.
Just had this thing about Spang before. It's good. Well, mine goes on different ways. This game's done, by the way. Bulldogs lead it by 45 points. Florent. Hand pass out off half forward now for the Swans. Wicks there first, back to Heaney, and now Adams. Loose man there, Cunningham. Pops it towards 50. It wasn't controlled by Lloyd. Liberatore on the overlap here with Treloar. The Dogs are away off half back.
Treloar to the wing. Darcy and McCartan wrestling. It's a free kick to Tom McCartan. He'll switch to centre half back. Norton read it though, and he got a hand in on Logan McDonald. He saw that from a mile away, Aaron Norton. And now McDonald has wrapped him up.
Well done, Aaron Norton. Yeah, that was
and McDonald has caught Norton holding the ball in the end. But Norton just, you could spot him from 10 metres away, charging towards McDonald. He is now kicked after winning the free kick to find Florent at centre half back, switches it and finds a free man in McLean. Can the Swans get one they desperately need before three-quarter time? Popped over the top to Taylor Adams at right half forward. He goes into the pocket for Amadi, who marks. So Amadi will have a chance to just give the Swans a pulse, but from a very difficult angle, 45 metres out, right up against the boundary line. He'll do so from after the three-quarter time siren.
He's probably earned himself a goal too, Amadi. He's probably been their best pressure player today,
hard.
hasn't he?
Yeah, he's tried hard.
You feel as if the Swans are any chance whatsoever. This has to go through for Joel Amadi, as difficult a kick as it is. He's been Sydney's best key forward all day. This is a tough effort. And it'll miss on the near side through for a behind. So the Western Bulldogs lead by 44 points. They are the maverick team in top 8 calculations, according to many. And they are showing why. Capable of the spectacular on their day, and has most certainly been their day so far at the SCG.
Thanks in no small part to Jamara Ugle-Hagan. He's kicked 4 goals for a third week in a row and still a quarter to go. Singles also to Bontempelli, Darcy, West, Richards, Poulter and McNeil for the Bulldogs. For the Sydney Swans, just the 2 goals in that third term. With Gordon and Mills joining McLean and Haywood as goal kickers in this game so far. But it is the Bulldogs who lead by 44 points at the final change, 10-12-72 to the Swans, 4-4-28. Across ABC Radio, News Radio, and of course the ABC Listen app, this is Sunday afternoon footy on ABC Sport.
Roy and HG. This medal-winning duo are no strangers to the City of Lights. But, mes amis, it's not just the Olympic Games. It's the culture, the fashion, the politics, the art, the opera, plus BMX bikes and weightlifting. That's people, medals and cheese daily during the Olympics across the nation, teetering on the brink of joyful chaos on ABC Radio and on the ABC Listen app.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Now Williams will play on and kick them deep into attack. Norton will lead. Got a hand to it, picked it up. Handball to Bontempelli. Oh, that was cruising through Lockie McNeil. No pressure at all from the Swans deep in defence. That was like a training drill for the Bulldogs.
Too low it was. Down there for Campbell. And now slapped forward by Adams. Ends up through Parker and Mills, who can snap. A couple of class names combined for a very important goal for the Swans. Parker competes against two of them. Snaps away from Jones, still going here. Back to Haywood, run down from behind by Ballydale. Footy comes loose, back to Parker. Works it all the way back here. Adams to Gordon, flying shot from 40. Is it there? You betcha! Well, the Swans are finding goals. Can they find enough of them?
Liberatore extracts it from a contest in the middle of the ground. Gets him inside 50. Cunningham's there's given it straight to Ugle-Hagan though. Ugle-Hagan with the immediate reply for the Dogs. That's what they needed after 2 in a row for the Swans, and Ugle-Hagan has 3. Lawrence slaps it away, but the Lord gathers it inside attacking 50. Ugle-Hagan with the don't argue. Now on his right, looking for his fourth. He has got it. Jamari Ugle-Hagan taking matters into his own hands.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.
44 points is the Bulldogs' lead here at this Sydney Cricket Ground on ABC Sports. They will find themselves, barring a home side miracle, they'll find themselves in the top 8 tonight. Breathing down their neck is Hawthorn, who will also find themselves just out of the 8 on percentage, assuming they beat Adelaide. They lead by 15 points in that game as we approach half-time at Adelaide Oval. The Hawks 9-3-57, the Crows 6-6-42. But in that game, the lead has changed 3 or 4 times just in this second quarter alone. So that's a game to keep an eye on. We'll do that certainly for you while we, of course, still have the final quarter to come here at the SCG. My name's Brett Sprigg alongside Daniel Garb, and your experts are Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair.
Well, the Swans teased us a little bit again early in that quarter like they did in the second. We thought maybe they'll get something going here and bring back their A game. We saw goals to Goulden and Mills and gave a little bit of spark into the game, but almost straight away, I think the next centre bounce, it was a guy up forward that you're a massive fan of today, Cal Ugle-Hagan, that just kept the Dogs well in front. He's been electric up forward. The Swans haven't had any answers for himself, Aaron Norton, even Sam Darcy. The Bulldogs forwards and midfield are just well and truly controlling this game of football. Bontempelli, whilst he hasn't had huge numbers, he's been really good for them. But their pressure is maintained through the roof. The Dogs and the Swans just can't get anything going in an extended period of game time, and they continue to look really flat and struggling, and probably danger signs really in terms of what the coming weeks look like for them too, whereas the Bulldogs look like, the rest of the season's theirs.
Well, the Swans have just fed off the poor energy you three did at the start of the game, to be honest. And you just see in team environments how much it just flows through the group and things like that. But you made the comment on Bontempelli, but I think, yes, his numbers are down, but for them to compete in September, they can't have Bontempelli needing to be the barometer of that team. You need to spread the love amongst that group. But I'm not going to steal your content, Sado, but they were actually quite wasteful, the Bulldogs, as you said, in that third term. They could have buried that game within the first 10 minutes of that quarter, but they got there in the end. But come on, boys, up and about. Spriggy, it's been a big weekend for you, but
he needs a throat lozenge.
Come on, Spriggy.
We'll come home strong here on ABC Sport. The numbers, Garby. 3/4 time.
22 scoring shots to 8. That's the biggest number. I mean, the 44-point scoreline probably favours the Swans. Treloar with 29, though, leads the way. Bontempelli 19. Matt Roberts is 28 for the Swans. Chad Warner, just 8 disposals to 3/4 time. His season low is 19 in a game.
As day becomes night here in Sydney. A quarter of footy left. Bulldogs looking for the clearance. It's Chad Warner's kick smothered that time by Tom Liberatore. And now Heaney fighting on hands and knees with Treloar. Rolled back here to Dale. He's wrapped up by Goulden. Will ball up again.
Interesting English starting on the bench. Darcy in the ruck.
No sub movement by way of the Bulldogs. Caleb Daniels still the sub. We saw Luke Parker enter the game in the second term for Lewis Milliken because of hamstring tightness. Swans with a clearance here. Roberts tumbles it back only as far as Richards, who's been good. Again, he was last week. He's again this week for the Bulldogs. He moves it across half back.
To Caulfield. Now Lockie McNeil. Marks it on the wing. Kicks into the left forward pocket. Riley West will leap, and in front of him, Sam Darcy, the big man, just stuck out the jukes and marked it in the left forward pocket. What a super talent this young player is. Number 5 in the comp for contested marks, and he's taken another one.
That's what's making them so scary at the moment. The Dogs, you got Norton's great contested mark. Ugle-Hagan's obviously just peaking. But this guy just adds that extra dimension. I know he's pushed forward in the ruck here, but gee.
Looking for his second goal, Sam Darcy. It's just shaping back a bit, but not quite enough. And so behind, the Bulldogs lead by 45 points.
Certainly challenging as a ruckman when your forward just bolts hard forward. It gets impacted. I'm sorry, guys. Talk about ruckman. Sorry.
What happened to diversifying your portfolio, Cal?
Yeah.
Roberts goes beyond offensive 50. Amadi keeps it alive here for Fox, and now Heaney wrapped up by Liberatore. Footy comes loose. One back by Treloar to Richards. 45 from goal, lowers the eyes to Ugle-Hagan, leaps up, can't really in the grab. Roberts can rebound now quickly, but also out there was Bailey Williams. Vandermeer runs into Blakey, ball and all. Garcia back to Vandermeer, to Treloar, goes the fend on Goulden, tumbles his kick back inboard now on the bounce. It's there for Riley West. He can snap from the pocket as well. Riley West, they are kicking fantastic goals. This has been a real Dogs' day here in Sydney. Riley West has his second, and they're out to a game-high 51-point lead.
This is unlike the Swans, Sutto. That defensive six, just standing around, not even wanting to compete for the ball. Garbs, you're shaking your head in just disarray, but very Swans defence-like. I don't know what's going there. Probably had half a dozen chances to just cause a stoppage. But a great finish there from Riley West. She's done a pretty good job today, Nick Blakey, I thought.
Yeah, small forward. We're going to talk about small forward.
I'm a conservative investor, you know what I mean? Just stick to what I know.
It's the kind of play that you guys have been in reviews after games. I don't know if that gets shown, but it's the kind of play you see on an analysis show on a Monday night where 6 players are standing still, one guy goes through and kicks the goal.
I was just going to make the point. That will be showed, and that will sum up the Swans today.
That was really alarming for the Swans faithful and for John Longmire. 51 points the Bulldogs lead by. Here's Goulden in the middle of the ground, kicking Sydney into attack. Caulfield's there. Again, with plenty of time, goes to Liam Jones. That's a scrappy handball out wider to Bailey Williams, and James Jordan sees it over the boundary line. So it may just be an aberration in terms of Sydney's season, or maybe they really are hanging out for that end of season bye to get into the finals and rest up a little bit. As we see some of the injured players, Rowbottom and Papley in the adder at the moment, how they have been sorely missed.
Ugle-Hagan attempts to mark on the outer side, wins it down here for Garcia. Norton, he's not kicked a goal yet today, goes high inside 50. McNeil in space, takes the mark. He was far too quick for Braden Campbell. He'll go back and set the mark here from 30 out, slight angle left of centre.
He's been another very good small forward for them, Cal McNeil. His pressure's been fantastic, and he's now starting to get on the scoreboard as well. Get some footy in his hands. He's been very impressive.
He has kicked 1 goal already this afternoon, Lockie McNeil, due for his 50th game next week against the D's at Docklands. That's on Friday night as he shapes up here with his kick. He does have 2. Made the goal umpire work. But it's party time here for the Bulldogs. And those Sons of the West have come north to lead by 57 points and counting, 12-13-85 to 4-4-28. They've kicked the first 2 goals of this fourth term on ABC Sport. The Bulldogs, your experts, Callum Sinclair, Jason Saddington.
I think it's interesting, Sado, that in terms of the 2 coaching boxes, it just feels like there's probably been a little bit of out coaching with the Bulldogs, because structurally they've just completely pulled apart the Sydney Swans. How many times have the Swans looked up and have had to kick the ball, and there's literally been no one there to kick to? Even defensively behind the ball, the Swans seemed a little bit shaky. Haven't had that, I guess, clear display of disposal between their back 6.
Feels like one of the Bulldogs' biggest wins since that run to the 2021 Grand Final. So many question marks around Luke Beveridge. Plenty wondering if perhaps his time at the Dogs is up. He has reminded everyone that this team still has plenty of ability. Perhaps plenty of chapters still to write. As Treloar handballs to Bontempelli from 55 to Ugle-Hagan. Couldn't take the mark as he looks for his 5th. It's by how many now for the Dogs? McDonald scored deep in defence. Tom McCartan tries to lend him a hand, but the Bulldogs win it back. Waitman to Ugle-Hagan. High ball. Underneath it is Parker. He takes a strong, courageous mark deep in defence. 57 points the margin, and the SCG is, I reckon, half full now, if that. So many fans have gone home.
You're at the Light Brigade, Garbs.
Parker, short kick to Blakey, who can just try to snake away or lizard away off half back, and shares it down with Heaney. Still inside defensive 50, down the line to find Gordon. He missed its target. Dale there for the Bulldogs. They need support with Karmas, but in fact he's going to win a free kick here. It's going to come back for Bailey Dale. His 150th game. This Sydney team have lost a total of 4 games by a total of 10 points. So this is really destruction. 57 points they find themselves down by as Poulter goes inside 50 here for the Dogs, and McCartan outpoints Aaron Norton.
Swans fans will be hoping that their team is simply a little bit lethargic at the moment.
Yeah, 57 points is a little bit flattering, isn't it, for the Swans?
It is.
It should be more.
It feels like it could have been a lot more. Goulden to Grundy, who marks it on his knees, the middle of the ground, but it's to Lloyd. Now back to Warner, who's been really quiet. Warner back to Lloyd, and now to Adams at half forward. 55 out. There's Goulden calling for it at centre half forward. Takes his time, Taylor Adams, that allows Tim English to get back inside defensive 50. Kicks it over his head though. Bouncing ball picked up by Treloar with plenty of time in his own defensive goal square. Adam Treloar sends it out to Lockie McNeil. 33 disposals now for Treloar, who will play game 250 on Friday night against Melbourne. What a sensational season he's having.
He's been everywhere today.
Big milestones coming up as Duray goes to the ground on the outer side. It does ricochet over for a throw-in on the outer side. Poppy on the boundary.
Yeah, Will Hayward's just come from the ground and gone straight down to the rooms with the doctor. He's got some tape on that right knee, so could be related to that.
Saw him limping at three-quarter time, guys.
Sure Swans fans don't want any more bad news about injuries or what have you. The scoreboard's ugly enough. Grundy off here to Goulden. He tries to make something of it, and again the umpire can't split them, so a ball up. 8 minutes gone, final term. Bulldogs 12-13, lead the Swans 4-4, margin of 57 points here at the SCG.
English knocks it down for Bontempelli. Florent got hands to it. Now Grundy falls on the football. And we'll have a ball up at the exact same spot. So Jay Saddington, Carlson Collect, can this happen at times in seasons where maybe the toll of the campaign starts to wear on you and you have these real flat performances?
It can, but you don't want it this time of the year.
They go inside 50 through Heaney. Knocked away from Amadi. Adams goes in hard, brought to ground down there by Liam Jones. And again, the Bulldogs look to rebound toward the outer side. Waitman out after it now, competes with his fellow Blondie and Heaney. And now Richards slaps it back here towards Bailey Williams. On him like a backpack out there was Luke Parker. And we'll ball up on the outer side. Poppy Penny on the boundary.
Caleb Daniels got the training top off and the helmet about to go on. It looks like Nick Caulfield's gone to the back of the bench. He had that big hit earlier in the match.
James Jordan caught. Thanks, Poppy. And the Dogs win it back through Ed Richards. Blakey and Ugle-Hagan competing for the football. Blakey goes inside his own defensive 50, a long way back for Corey Warner to mark it. Looks for McLean on a long lead. Dropped a mark that you really should have taken Hayden McLean. He's been quiet today as well. The Bulldogs can win the football back at half forward. Well done by Bailey Dale to get it to Lockie Bramble on his left. Looks for Norton, who will leap. Couldn't take the mark. Bontempelli slaps it towards Poulter. Corey Warner got a hand in. Vandermeer got collected by his own player in Norton. And now Mills short to Taylor Adams at right half back.
He's been all right, Taylor Adams, this afternoon for the Swans in an afternoon of not many highlights. Back inside defensive 50. McCartan. They'll switch back to the outer side. And Cunningham reaching for it. That kick was just touched by Cunningham over for a throw-in inside 50.
So to touch on what you brought up just before, Garby, I think the biggest thing you don't want is injuries to key players, and that's what's happening with the Swans at the moment. Rampy, a very important back. We've seen him struggle without him today. Malikin's been injured. That's not a good sign.
They look really sluggish on top of that, though. The Dogs, take nothing away from them, have been superb. Much in line with their form over the last 5 weeks. Blakey out of defensive 50. Well done, Rory Lobb. Marked it over the top of Robbie Fox, who it's not going to be a 100th game to remember for him, unfortunately. He deserves a lot better. Dogs go inside 50. The kick is over the top of Richards.
Remarkably, 3 wins in a row for the first time this year for the Bulldogs. They've not won more than 2 in a row. As we get confirmation of the sub downstairs as well, with Caulfield off and Daniel coming into the game, as Poppy mentioned earlier. But it's a belief thing, isn't it? So you can have injuries. All teams have them. You can have that general fatigue. You can lose games. God knows the Swans have done enough work early on that they've got some room to play with, but they just can't lose belief, given the form line's been so bad. And I'm sure the whole comp will be asking, well, how far can Sydney slide? They can't buy into any of that. They must get a few of those names back as well. They go back inside defensive 50 to Blakey. 12 gone final term. Margin still 50-70 here the Bulldogs' way as they come back to the corridor now. It's missed Callum Mills. Adams sweeping hand pass to Heaney to Fox. He's 65 from goal. Pops them inside 50. Jones gave a shove on to Marty. Umpire said play on. It was fair. Jones goes back to retrieve it and find Daniel for his first touch coming off the bench here. The sub deep inside defensive 50 for the Bulldogs.
We've got Port Adelaide away, the Swans, next week. And they might just go into that game as outsiders, considering that Power's big win over Carlton on Friday night and Sydney's form at the moment, which is starting to become concerning. Boundary throw in on the wing. So the Swans will have now lost 4 of their last 6. And this one is going to be around the 10-goal mark, at least, you would think.
4 of the past 5?
4 of the...
Yeah.
They lost 3 of their past 5 coming into this.
3 of the
It'll be 4 of their last 6 after this. Would it not?
Okay.
Maybe I've got that wrong.
No, I think they're both are right. But they can say 3 of the past 4.
Clear it up, guys. What are we talking about?
Hang on. There you go.
That sums up the Swans' performance today. Sydney in footy today. Here's Lockie McNeil in the forward pocket. Out of bounds on the full.
Freo 1 point loss, St Kilda 2 point loss, North Melbourne win by 79, Brisbane 2 point loss. 3 of the past 4. So it is 3 of the past 5 as well, but 3 of the past 4 would be.
I'm sorry,
I'm counting the loss from today. I'm putting that into the calculation.
Which makes it 4 of the past 5.
Okay.
No, I feel like I'm lost.
Speaking of
I think it's 4 of the last 6.
We take a time out.
Bobby, help us out. Yeah. Okay, I might tackle this sub myself out, surely. As Karma's hand pass goes out of bounds for a throw-in. Sorry, Gal. I'm looking at my little 5-game form thing, and I'm thinking, well, if they've lost...
It's a credible source.
1, 2, 3, 4.
No, 4 of their last 5. You're right.
Yes.
I wrote it down wrong. I apologise.
English. No, we're both right. 4 out of 5 or 4 of the past.
Call the game, guys. Come on.
Waitman goes inside 50 here for the Bulldogs. A little too deep for Montempelli. McDonald here rebounds off the defensive line here. He's been playing back for most of this game. Adams and now Daniel wrapped up out there on the outer side of the ground. The umpire spotted the free kick for a high tackle, which will go the way of the Sydney Swans. How many times will Caleb Daniel give away a high tackle? As is the case here on James Jordan. So he comes back here towards Corey Warner, and the Swans can go again from members' side.
Goulden's calling for it. He's kept running all day. He goes to Heaney instead. He's been pretty good, Isaac Heaney. 26 disposals for him. Goulden tries to bite off something in the middle of the ground, but the Dogs were swarming Taylor Adams, and they win it back. Caleb Daniel.
Hagen's out.
To Riley Garcia on the wing. Eagle Hagen's on a long lead. He's kept his feet. Nick Blakey went to ground. Eagle Hagen gets around a couple almost. Then McDonald caught him holding the ball. Plenty of confidence around Jamari Eagle Hagen. He's kicked 4 today. He feels like he can do anything. Logan McDonald's put a strong tackle on. The big forward playing in defence for what feels like the first time ever in his Sydney Swans career.
Short chip beyond defensive 50. Out again to Jordan. He'll retreat back inside defensive 50. And I'll switch back here through Jake Lloyd. Heaney had pressure from Poulter. Heaney steamrolls Waitman. Bouncing hand pass here for Fox. Comes back out wide to Roberts. Roberts assesses the option. Steps back in with a kick inside 50. It goes straight down the throat of Taylor Duray. And it's just been the story of the day so far for the Swans. Errors and untidy entries, and that's why they find themselves trailing by 57 points midway through this final term on ABC Sport. By the way, in Adelaide, Hawthorn leads the Crows by 15 points at half-time.
There's Bailey Dale, a memorable game, 150 for him, with a big switch to Caleb Poulter. And now Adam Treloar, disposal number 35. So much talk around that move from Collingwood to the Bulldogs. Pies won a flag, but Adam Treloar's back in the best form of his career. He might just win his first All-Australian blazer. He'll be very unlucky if that's not the case. Kick to half forward, over the back of the pack. Campbell picks it up for the Swans, throws it on the boot. Bounces in front of Hayden McLean. Roberts is there. He's been one of Sydney's best. Adams tries to get it to Corey Warner, but Jones traps it. Treloar wins another disposal. Now Richards pokes it out to Norton. I think he played on there, Norton, but the umpire has given him the benefit of the doubt. And now he darts around Tom McCartan, who he's had the better of all day. Kicks the Dogs into attack, and English is marked. Floating behind Brodie Grundy. He'll kick from 25 out. An angle to the left to try and extend this margin beyond 10 goals. He'll play on now, and he probably rushed that a little bit. Could have taken his time, doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. The Bulldogs lead by 58, 17 minutes gone in the last.
It's twice this quarter Grundy's been marked on from his opposing ruckman who's pushed forward inside 50. Darcy did it earlier in the quarter, that time English.
Lloyd drives it long beyond offensive 50. Grundy out what is English this time, though, with a strong grab in the middle of the SCG. Wheels and goes now. He's got McLean breaking for him through half forward. He gets away from Lobb, straightens up on the run from 40. Hayden McLean with a couple of goals this afternoon. That was a nice one. The Swans went coast to coast, and despite the fact English beat him before, Brodie Grundy had better than that time, and it results in a Sydney Swans goal, of which there have been very few today. They're 5-4-34. The Bulldogs are 12-4-10-86. It's 18 gone, final term ABC Sport, your experts, Callum Sinclair and Jason Saddington.
Yeah, haven't seen much of probably Brodie Grundy today as what we've usually expected from him this year, but needless to say, a terrific mark, using his body really well against English in the middle of the ground. But I think Saturday, at the end of the day, it just where two teams are at this point of the year are just complete opposites. The Bulldogs have got probably their best and most well-connected team. The Swans are probably suffering from fatigue, injuries, and probably the change of dynamic in their midfield.
52 points the Bulldogs lead by. Treloar with another possession. Sockers it in the middle of the ground. Corey Warner gathers it. Adams falls over, tries to get it to Wicks. Good tackle on him by Waitman. So the Dogs will move into the top 8. Feels like a bad fortnight or a good fortnight can change your fortunes completely in this gripping AFL season. And maybe there are some chinks in the armour of these once indestructible Sydney Swans. Roberts kicks them deep into attack. Liam Jones, with the back of the flight of the football, takes the defensive mark. They just have such strong players in the key positions at both ends of the ground. You've got Karmas, Lobb and Jones in defence, Ugle-Hagan, Norton and Darcy in attack. It's a lot to work with for Luke Beveridge.
Beyond offensive 50 from Garcia. Darcy crashes the pack, brings it down here. Campbell, though, roves off here again to Adams. Back to Campbell, who can close in the pocket and miss near side. So having a go now, the Sydney Swans, but it's too little too late. 5-6-36. Beg your pardon. So 5-5-35, trailing the Bulldogs who are with 12-14-86. So we approach time on.
Possession number 38 for Adam Treloar.
He's had a fantastic game, Garbs.
Well, they've got that A-grade midfield up and running now. Liberatore winning it in the middle. Treloar around the ball, and Bontempelli doing what he does best, plus Ed Richards, who's come on as a strong contributor for them. Knocked away from Caleb Daniel. Goulden gathers it, looks for Liam Jones. Well done by Wicks to put a contest on Jones. Loose ball in attack for Sydney. Liberatore just throws it on the boot, clears the dangerous area. Over the head of Nick Blakey. And Norton is able to pounce and slap it to himself, and now soccer it forward. It's a foot race. It's 100 metres in Paris. It's Blakey and Norton. Norton keeps his feet and socketed it off the ground through for a behind.
It's good.
How about
2 points the Dogs lead by.
How about the pace of Aaron Norton for a key forward to keep up with Nick Blakey?
Good sprint, but it wasn't a great football final, was it?
Wasn't, no.
And Lloyd out here to Campbell, and now Parker flares it back to the outer side. Out in space again, Hayward pops it inside 50. Sits up on its point there for Isaac Heaney. Moves around Jones, retreats back outside attacking 50. McLean inboard now for Parker. He'll control the ball with a mark 45 out. And slightly left of centre. He plays on here. No man on the mark. He kicks from 50. It's on its way. And Buku Karmas is there. Opts to spoil away. He was uncontested though. Liberatore felled. Loose footy. Pounced on there by the Bulldogs defenders. Williams out wide to Jones. And now away through Bramble.
Bramble up to the wing. There's Treloar over the back. He's just kept running. Amazing fitness on Adam Treloar. It's going to be a big milestone for him next week, spanning 3 clubs. It started here in Sydney with GWS and Collingwood, of course, and now the Bulldogs. He's 250th against the D's on Friday night. They move it forward of the wing, the Dogs, and Caleb Daniel takes it over the boundary line in front of a pretty sparse Bill O'Reilly stand, which is the same all around the SCG. They haven't hung around the Sydney faithful. They trail by 52 points. They have not seen a game like this all season long.
It was more like a one-day international crowd at the moment. All those blue seats here at the SCG. Back in it comes.
Sheffield Shield
to Campbell. Oh, I wish it was a Sheffield Shield crowd. The other side here.
Maybe for the final.
Parker off to McLean, goes inside 50. Awkward low ball for Heaney. He outpoints Carmus, fires on goal, misses the lot, out of bounds on the full. Poppy Penny on the boundary.
Yeah, talking about the crowd, heaps of the Bulldogs fans have started moving into the front row, getting ready to high-five the players as the game finishes. So there's quite a few spare seats.
36,000 was the crowd at its highest point. There's far fewer than that right now.
You'd struggle to find 10,000 in here at the moment, but the Dogs fans are loving it. Riley West is caught by Amati and caught holding the ball.
I reckon if you ask the players, a gentleman handshake to close the game out now too.
Amati, high ball inside 50. And Heaney's taken the grab in front of Liam Jones. So he's tried really hard, Isaac Heaney. He's been one of the Swans' best. His 30th disposal coming up. And he'll look for his first goal of the game. Straight in front. 25 out. He can't win the Brownlow anymore. Maybe Sydney fans are wondering if they can win a premiership as well. That's an ordinary effort, though. He rushed it, looking for a quick one, and shanked it across the face through for a behind. Bulldogs lead by 51.
Bramble back to Dale, off to Daniel. Gets it back here again as they rebound the footy. The Bulldogs off half back, 2-on-2. The Bramble kick to the wing. Bontempelli tries to tap it away here, initially from McCartan, and now Liberatore goes in hard. Bounced off McLean. Richards did very well. Hand pass to the outside. Darcy to Poulter. Nurses his kick down the line. Bontempelli kept running back with a flight. Couldn't pull in the grab. Blakey does mop up now and comes back to Goulden. The Swans will share it off half back, but this game has lost its sting. 51 points is the Bulldogs' lead as they go forward through Matt Roberts. McDonald's back there in his familiar forward position. Takes on Caleb Daniel, the far smaller body down there, and he marks 30 out directly in front. Like a McDonald. He's been shifted back for much of today. As I say, finds himself in much more familiar territory here at full forward. And he'll take a set shot here.
He would have been happy to get that match up too, one-on-one with Caleb Daniel.
Logan McDonald recently signed a 4-year deal to stay in the Harbour City. He ambles in. And he does have a goal. It's all in consolation here for the Swans. Margin is back to 45 points. The Bulldogs 12, 5th, 1087. The Swans 6-6-42 here on ABC Sport. Your experts are Jason Saddington and Callum Sinclair.
Well, he's back at the end of the ground where he probably needs to be. I mean, you couldn't see McDonald spending too much more time back, even next week, week after. They've got to find the reinforcements, don't they? Malik, and hopefully he's okay.
Yeah.
And can slip back into that defence. When's Rampy back? Who else is out there? Because if McDonald comes out of that forward line, with Papley not there, that forward line doesn't look good enough to kick enough goals to win a game of footy either, does it?
No, it certainly doesn't. I think in every aspect of the ground, they've probably got a couple of missing pillars, and it's showed up today.
Round 4 2020 was the last win for the Western Bulldogs at the SCG. 4 years later, they will notch up another one. And considering the position of the Sydney Swans at the moment, it is a memorable one. And this man has been a key part of it. Adam Treloar, possession number 40 for him. Back to Buku Khamis. Now Bailey Williams at right half back. This will be gobbled up, though, by Matt Roberts, who's been impressive for the Swans. This will be his 36th disposal. And they win a 50-metre penalty as well. So this margin will certainly flatter Sydney. And the scoring shots are 27-12. It's a 45-point lead to the Bulldogs, but it feels like it should have been a whole lot more. And after winning the 50-metre penalty, Matt Roberts will have a shot on goal, looking for just his third goal as a Sydney Swan. And he's got it, and he's deserved that on his performance today. He's been one of the few who have given everything for Sydney. 36 touches and now a goal to Matt Roberts. So the margin's 39 points. And the young South Australian puts one through for Sydney.
Yeah, probably a bit of a breakout game for Matt Roberts. I know he's not the most probably penetrating with his disposal, but 36 disposals, probably someone in this side when they're at full strength you might see is a little bit vulnerable in this side. Whether or not he actually does fit in the best 22, a sub maybe, but I think he'd be very positive with this game. Came into the club as a hard inside midfielder, and probably going down defence to him was a little bit of a shock and maybe just comfort. But 36 touches, 26 kicks, 10 handballs.
Approaching the final siren here. One away back to Chad Warner. Clearance goes the way of the Swans. Here's Heaney, pops it inside 50 again. It's a quick entry. Bursting by again. Fox, popular goal kicker coming up. If he tries again, no, it slips off the inside of the boot. Bramble wins it back here for the Bulldogs. Tumbles it back to the pocket where Bailey Williams gets up there. Wicks here for the Swans. High in the air, crashing the pack. Down there was Fox again. Haywood back to Chad Warner. He dropped it in the calmest tackle. Umpire lets them play. Back here for West to Daniel. Back to Bramble in the pocket.
Chad Warner gave the umpire an almighty spray. His frustration's coming through. Here's Caleb Daniel. Grubbers a kick to Liberatore. Bontempelli just palms off Campbell. A memorable win for the Western Bulldogs. They are into the top 8. They have slaughtered the Swans on their own deck to the tune of 39 points. And their surge towards the finals continues.
Their best win, their biggest scalp of the 2024 campaign. 3 wins in a row for the first time this year. They're led by 34 points at quarter time, 36 at the half, by 44 at three-quarter time, and the biggest margin was at one stage 58 points in their favour in this final term. In the end, winners here by 39 points, 12-15, plays 7-6. Mighty impressive today, the Western Bulldogs winners here at the SCG for the first time in 4 years and breaking a 3-game losing streak against the Sydney Swans as well. In the end, it was 4 goals to Jamara Ugle-Hagan, 2 to McNeil and to West, singles to Bontempelli, Darcy, Richards and Poulter. While for the Sydney Swans, in the end, it was 2 for Hayden McLean, singles to McDonald, Haywood, Mills, Goulden and Roberts. After 4 wins with a combined total of 4 losses, I beg your pardon, with a combined total of 10 points, the Sydney Swans are left asking where it's all gone wrong. Of course, the injuries they've had, which is a concern in recent weeks, this may be the result that knocks them off premiership favouritism, despite the fact they will be on top of the AFL ladder for at least another week and a bit here, the Sydney Swans. Next up, away to Port Adelaide on Saturday in the city of Churches. In the meantime, to make sense of the 39-point win the Bulldogs over the Swans, your experts on ABC Sport are former Swan and Blue Jason Saddington, former Eagle and Swan Callum Sinclair.
Well, congratulations to the Bulldogs. What a performance. Absolute absolute gun performance from them. I mean, they looked the real deal today. And it was from the opening bounce, wasn't it? The pressure and the intent they put around the footy, they were just elite at really attacking the contest. You know, they were able to break away from contests with some clean footy and just get it into their forwards, who dominated all day in terms of Norton. Was electric at the start of the game and continued to be a really good target. Ugle-Hagan was, arguably one of the best players on the ground and just looked brilliant. And their small forwards just pressured as well. We saw West end up with a couple of goals. Garcia was very good down there. McNeil. And in the back half as well for the Bulldogs, Liam Jones just intercept mark, certainly in that first quarter. He was great. Lob was fantastic. Buku Kamas was very good in the air as well. The Dogs just looked like the complete package today. We haven't even touched on their midfield with Treloar. 40-plus possessions. He's flying. Bontempelli is, obviously a gun footballer.
Richards as well.
Yep, they are just peaking perfectly at the moment, the Dogs, and they look the real deal. Whereas on the flip side, the Swans, they can't be premiership favourites after what we've seen today. They're missing personnel. They need some back. But they looked flat. They really struggled for any energy. They were beaten up around the footy. Contested possession, absolutely smashed. It was over plus 30 in terms of how they've lost that. They've lost 4 out of 5 now. Did we work that out earlier? Is that what we got to? 4 out of 5? So they look a long way off it. And they've got a big week, the Swans, don't they, of soul searching. They're going to be in the trenches trying to work out, how do we get our spark?
It's bring your mouth guard sort of stuff there, Sato. And I think the hard bit, I don't think we've seen the Western Bulldogs play that well connected as all three lines as probably in the last couple of years, to be honest. But I just want to I know we mentioned him a fair bit during the game, but probably just Liam Jones. I know he took some terrific intercept marks, but just structurally, Sato, he just set them up beautifully. And I think he really assisted. Probably been a bit of a missing clog for that defence. And you mentioned, I guess, the spread that we saw in their midfield. What I really liked about it was they weren't, probably the first half of the year, they had to rely on guys like Marcus Bontempelli to have 30, 35 and kick 2 goals to kind of be within games. But Ed Richard got the tag today, and he ended up with 25 touches, 20 kicks. I'm not sure if that's my mic, but 25 disposals, 5 handballs, 10 contested possessions. And at the front half, I think their key forwards in Darcy and in particular Norton and Ugle-Hagan, their ability to not only compete in the air but keep their feet at ground level, chase and tackle, that's real finals football kind of stuff for key forwards. Because probably the difference that they've got compared to like a Danaher or something, or I'm trying to think of another example, probably not a May, but maybe a McLean, they don't have that sort of dynamic ability to kind of 2, 3 multiple efforts. You saw the defensive pressure that those 3 guys put on the ball today, but the reality is the Swans were beaten everywhere. I don't think there's probably maybe one player, Matt Roberts, that could probably walk off the ground, maybe Isaac Heaney as well. I know Errol Goulden ended up with 27 touches, but Chad Warner, for me, I don't know if he was playing injured guys or he was sore, or but overall the Swans just looked perhaps a little bit disinterested. It's probably a little bit harsh, but the dynamic of that midfield has significantly changed without Rowbottom. Probably McInerney in there as well. Definitely. Their forwards really do rely on, I guess, that fast-paced, really clean ball coming out. Parker and Mills aren't those kind of players, unfortunately. They're not players that, I guess, penetrate the contest. They're in and under. Mills is a lot more of a slow play kind of footballer, likes to find the right spot, get spotted up. So they need to find something. I don't know if they need to make some tinkers to maybe how they move the ball, but it was quite interesting, Sato. I watched probably numerous times throughout that game was the Western Bulldogs were allowed to chip the ball up coast to coast. I mean, there's probably half a dozen times in today's game where that was allowed to happen. So a couple of interesting passages play in defensive 50 as well. Garbs made the point that the defensive 6 were just standing there, not even chasing, tackling, not even wanting the ball. So but I think the Swans were spooked because those guys there in the blue, red and white today were just outstanding. They had some great moments, but it was all fed off attitude, intent, and to be honest, a fair bit of aggression, Sato.
Bulldogs have gone to see their fans, a smattering of fans in the blocks on the Paddington end in front of the Bradman stand, and show their appreciation for the support they received today. They made it easy for their fans as well, given the way they were on from the very start, with 5 goals to none in that first term, and didn't look back from there, really, despite giving up the first couple of goals of the second quarter. Poppy Penny is in the Bulldogs rooms waiting for them. We will speak to one of the winners very shortly, and we're with you another half an hour as well here on ABC Sports, so we'll get plenty of post-game reaction from both the winners and losers, as well as the analysis of Jason Sainton and Callum Sinclair. Poppy, they're on their way to you.
They're on their way into the rooms now, being led by Marcus Bontempelli and Rory Lobb. There's quite a few friends and family here. You could probably hear them whistling. Bevo got a round of applause as he came in as well into the room. So there is quite a lot going on here. It's quite a lot of great hairstyles of the Western Bulldogs, I must say. Norton with the curls. You've got Poulter with the mullets. There's some cornrows here as well. They're circling up, ready for the song now. Here we go.
There we go. They were mighty today, the Western Bulldogs. Back to Poppy very shortly for some reaction from the winners' rooms. We hope to speak to Adam Treloar. 39 points, the final margin here at the SCG. By the way, at Adelaide Oval, Hawthorn leads Adelaide 12-8 to 6-7. So they've kicked away there. The Hawks lead by 37 points. That's midway through the third term there. So that's another part of that top 8 picture as far as teams making their run. The Pies had a big win earlier, and they're also part of that as well.
Your immediate thoughts when you look at that scoreline is Matthew Nicks. I know they've been tracking well the last few weeks, but that's a big defeat at home. They're out of the 8 calculations, Adelaide. You just wonder about his future now, because pressure will pile on again on Matthew Nicks in Adelaide over the next few days.
Certainly will. The Swans are still a game and a half clear on top, as well as their percentage, which comes down to 136. So it's below 140 for the first time in a fair while, the Sydney Swans percentage. The Brisbane Lions now sitting second, equal with Freo on third. Of course, Freo had a big win in the Derby last night. Carlton sitting fourth. The Giants also on level points, fifth. Geelong sixth. Port Adelaide seventh. Massive game to come next week. Port and the Swans. And the Bulldogs next up to face Melbourne. Poppy, in the Bulldogs rooms.
Yeah, in the Bulldogs rooms with Adam Treloar. Adam, what was your guys' mindset? Coming up to Sydney, the Swans have been so dominant all year. How did you guys address the challenge?
I feel like the last couple of weeks we've really been able to get back to how we want to play and the brand of footy that we want to play. And I felt like if we just didn't go away from that, we'll give ourselves a really good opportunity. And probably the best performance we've had all season, to be honest. I felt like we were on from the very get-go. It's a very hostile crowd up here in Sydney, and we know how good they are up here. And we haven't won, well, I've never won a game up here with the Bulldogs. So, it was a great result. I'm so proud of the boys' efforts. We've put a lot of hard work in each week, and we get ourselves up for games. So the fact that we're able to come here and do that, very pleasing.
One thing the Swans have been criticised for this year is slow starts in the first quarter. You guys really jumped them early. Was that something you spoke about during the week?
Not necessarily. We touched on it a little bit just before the game, but each game is different, so we fully expected them to come out. But I think credit to us, we were able to really jump them at the start and ultimately get a really good lead, and then really there was Swans were just chasing us from there. So to our credit, they came back hard at us in that second quarter, and we knew they were going to keep coming, and they did. So the fact that we were able to withstand a bit of their attack and defend the way we did, I felt like our back six were extraordinary. Yet again, with Lobby, Jonesy and Book, it was really pleasing.
This is obviously a very important win in the context of the season. From here on out, all wins are important wins for the Dogs. You're in contention for the 8 now. How important is this, and how important does it feel for the group?
Oh, it feels great, but to be totally honest with you, we're the old cliche, taking a week at a time. We actually are. I mean, we can't look too far ahead because we know how even the competition is, and we feel like if we look after ourselves and win the games, we'll give ourselves a chance to hopefully finish high on the ladder. So we're taking a week at a time. As I said, we'll celebrate this one, but we've got a 5-day break. So coming up against Melbourne, who have had our number quite a bit in the last couple of years since, since I've been here. So it's going to be a good game for us.
Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Jason Saddington and Cal Sinclair are upstairs. We're in the rooms with Adam Treloar, guys.
Adam, Callum Sinclair here, mate. Mate, congratulations on your own performance today, mate. We thought you were absolutely super in the box, and I appreciate your comments of you playing 1 week at a time, but from visually, it looked like you guys were playing with a real intent and attitude to really not muck around today. Like, surely you guys are playing... internally, you guys are having discussions about, let's be the dark horse going into September.
I don't think we're really talking about finals and whatnot. Like, I said we're obviously taking it a week at a time, which we are. So I feel like, our mindset, when it flips to who we're coming up again that week, we know if we play to our ability, we'll give ourselves a good opportunity. I know I sound like a broken record here, but that's genuinely what it is for us. And, you mentioned we came with an intent. We did. I feel like the last 3 weeks have really set us up to be able to do that week in, week out. And, the intent today clearly was to be a really good contest to the side of the game. And we know the Sydney, obviously with the calibre of players they have in there, they're very good contested ball side. So talk about intent and wants, felt like it was on from the very get-go. And I feel like when we do bring that, we're a very hard team to beat. You look at the games where we haven't brought it. Port Adelaide 3 weeks ago, prime example, they jumped out of the blocks on us and we were pretty lackadaisical. So to be able to bring that for the 3 weeks and then again today, it's been pleasing, but now it's the expectation for us going forward.
Two-part question just on your defence. Liam Jones, absolutely superb. It feels like he really straightens you guys up down there and gives you some real stability. And I guess what was your reaction to the decision for Rory Lobb to go in defence a few weeks ago? Because we all probably thought, it's a bit of an interesting move by Bevo, but it seems like they're gelling quite well, particularly aerially.
Yeah, you just mentioned aerially then. That's two of the better aerial players I've probably come across. And, Jonesy, you mentioned Jonesy, he's such a general for us back there. We severely missed him the last few weeks when he was out. So to have him there, just not only from a performance point of view, but from a leadership, just his experience, it gives great confidence to the rest of the group and obviously in particular the back six. And again, you mentioned Lobby. I feel like they really feed off each other really well, and when they get their positioning right, they're a hard duo to get past. So I think it was their first or maybe second game they've actually played together, like full game, proper down back together. So to keep, building that cohesion's nice for them. And I think you can throw in Buku there as well, who bounces off those two as well. So a very pleasing performance for all three of them.
Adam, Jason Saddington, mate, also congrats on your game and the game of the Doggies today. You mentioned 1 week at a time for you guys at the moment, but what's the area for improvement you think you guys still have?
I feel like we can always improve. I think kicking for goal has been a big issue of ours the last few weeks. Again, we left some out there. I know it was swirly conditions, but we left some easy shots out there. That was probably one. I feel like, from a probably staying in it point of view, so that's probably more of a mindset thing. But historically when we've lost, we've allowed momentum swings and teams to really run away with it. So I think if we can stop teams from building that, and again today was a big tick in that, because in the second quarter they kicked a couple goals early and really built some momentum, and for us to be able to withstand that was a tick to us. So I think they're probably the two main areas for us going forward, and on top of that, it's being able to maintain the rage, if you want to call it, and maintain how we want to play.
And Adam, speaking of goal kicking, Jamara kicked 4 for a third week in a row. How satisfying is that to see him really find that sort of form?
Yeah, he's a budding superstar, isn't he? He's he's got all the talent and all the ability in the world, but I think the thing that stands out for me the most today was his defensive side and his tackle and chase, his contest, his pressure. We know he'll get rewarded on the other end when he brings that, and when he does bring that, man, oh man, we're a hard team to play against. And when he's driving that standard up forward with Azza and obviously with Cody as well, it really gives us a great scoring weapon, but a great opportunity to win games of footy. So I felt he was incredible again today, and his last month of footy has been outstanding.
As has yours, Adam. I think you'll be very unlucky if you don't receive a first All-Australian blazer at the end of the season. Another 40 touches today. I mean, you've had some high points in your career, but your form at the moment Where does it rank compared to other stages? Is this the best form you've ever been in, do you think, over your career?
I'm always someone, if we're winning games of footy, then I like to think that's my best form. And, I feel like we're winning games of footy and I'm helping, obviously, with all the other midfielders in the group, but the rest of the team as well. So to answer your question, it's probably a bit hard to answer because ideally I'd like to be sitting pretty first and finishing top 4. But, yeah, I feel like I'm playing some nice footy, but there's always areas for me to improve, which I'll continue to work on week in, week out.
And obviously you are fairly focused on the team incentive for the Bulldogs and how far you can go in September if you get there. But there will be a period of reflection next week for your 250th. And looking back on your career, which began here in Sydney at the Giants, 3 clubs, to approach 250, did you think you would get to this stage? Were there periods in the past few years where you thought that might not be a possibility?
No, not at all, to be honest with you. No, I pride myself on when I'm out there and I'm performing, or giving myself a great opportunity to perform. And when I lose that hunger and lose that drive, I know that's time for me to step away. So I still have the hunger, I still have the drive. I love playing footy. I love being out here with the boys. I look after myself as much as I can. I try and always get a step up in my recovery and whatnot. So, I think if you were to ask me the question when I first started, I'd probably give you a different answer. But the last couple of years now, I've been very pleased with how I've been building and looking after myself. So it'll be a nice little milestone next week.
Yeah, it's plain to see from how you're playing footy as well. Adam, thanks for your time and well done today.
Thank you, appreciate it.
Adam Treloar in the Bulldogs rooms with us on ABC Sport. So, yeah, that's the run home for them. Bulldogs at home, but yes, the 5-day break, as Adam mentioned, against the Demons at Docklands on Friday night. Then Adelaide away. So you speak about pressure games with the Crows. That's huge. North Melbourne at home. Then the Giants in Ballarat to finish off the year, the home and away season for the Bulldogs.
He's so interesting, Adam Treloar, because it was such a shock when Collingwood chose to trade him, and most of that was due to salary cap and trying to balance their books. But it's natural for fans to go, well, is there something in his game that's missing that we don't see? People start raising question marks, right? Maybe he doesn't use the ball well, or is there an issue inside, the club's 4 walls? What's wrong? Why would the Pies make that move? And then you start analysing the player. Is he really the finished article? Do his disposal numbers flatter him? But you watch him at the moment and you think, he's just a fantastic footballer. There was nothing wrong. The Pies just had to make those changes, and the Dogs have benefited from it.
Yeah, and I think what he's doing at the moment as well is his work rate offensively and defensively. I think early in his career he was very much an offensive type player, but watching him live today, the amount of times he worked hard to get back in D50 and help out, and even to get to the last line of defence, be that last player in there. That's why he's playing really good footy, because he's working so hard in both offensively and defensively.
And you're playing with guys that complement you as well. So I think, you look at someone like Bontempelli and Ed Richards there, that probably their form has probably warranted being, I guess, the 2 players that cop the most attention, and he can really complement that as well. So probably another, during his Giants days, he was there from the very beginning. So kind of hard, but he's in that kind of sweet spot with where he's at with his age and his experience. And like as Sato said, they're just hitting their straps at the right time, and he's certainly a massive reason for that.
Yeah, so where do you see them? So they're in the 8 now with that win. Of course, Hawthorn are also coming in hot with their form line at the moment. There's still a chance for Essendon, Melbourne. I mean, the Bulldogs have that form, that 3 in a row, and I don't know if it's a mixed bag. That's pretty favourable, actually, that run home. Look at that. Melbourne, who are also wavering, and then Adelaide, North. Giants are anything on their day and have also been in good form as well. But where do you see the Bulldogs getting? What can they realistically achieve this year?
I think they're definitely the team that could cause the biggest upset. I think it's fair to say with what we've seen today, they look really healthy. The way they're moving the ball, their intent around the contest is something that I think would really scare teams at the moment. I would not want to play the Giants first week of the final. I would not want to play the Bulldogs in the first week of the finals. And I think it's just their spread of contributors, which I think is really well connected all over the ground.
You just look at the team they got on the park. They're dangerous everywhere, aren't they? I mean, their midfield's super strong. It's stacked, and it's a dynamic midfield. They do complement each other, like you said, Cal. They're different type of players. They've got a very good ruckman, so their midfield's super strong. But ahead of the ball, I mean, they're dangerous.
Yeah,
Norton's a match winner. Ugle-Hagen's a match winner, and Darcy's he's just getting better and better every week. Like, they're hard to match up on, and then down back, they're rock solid. With the emergence of Rory Lobb down there, Liam Jones back in the team, they just get it done down back. But they're so dangerous and have weapons middle and ahead of the ball.
And they're led by a guy called Marcus Bontempelli, who's arguably the best captain of the competition.
Couldn't agree more. And I'd be interested to know about their recruiting and their list management, particularly forward of the ball. It seems like every single one of their players forward of the ball has the ability to compete in the air and at ground level. And I know I've repeated myself a few times in that today, but that's very, very rare. Even Cody Waitman, who's the opposite to the big guys, his aerial contest is outstanding. Like, he probably didn't have his greatest day today, but if he's left one-on-one and he's outnumbered, he can actually compete in the air as well.
I mean, Waitman was a really good pick, but it does help when the number one draft pick is a Next Generation Academy selection, and then Sam Darcy's a father-son selection.
Yeah.
So, look, they got lucky with that regard. I mean, they actually changed the Next Generation rules after Jamari Ugle-Hagen. So the Dogs got fortunate with that. But
going back again now.
Hey, they're making the most of it at the moment.
And they can go all the way, the Dogs. I mean, especially if they continue to play the way they did today, they could beat anyone. And it's crazy to think that they're only just slipping into the 8 at the moment.
A question for you, Sato, probably, well, maybe for everyone in the box here. What's the conversation like with Swans on Monday to the playing group? Sato, maybe you can kick it off there, but it's probably an interesting one. I don't know if you go down the spray path, but I think you'd probably argue that they're not... they probably should have played a bit better than what they did today, considering the injuries they had.
I think you'll just be looking at some of the efforts and just going, hang on, this isn't our brand. This isn't the way we play footy. Let's look at it and let's point that out. So it's clear, crystal clear, the way we want to play, this isn't it. Let's look at it. But then the biggest thing that they've got to get is we need to generate the spark again in the group. I mean, whilst they have lost 4 out of 5, 3 of them were by very small margins. They weren't playing poorly, but what's happened today is your confidence takes a huge dent because that was a poor performance today. So it's where do we get the spark? How are we going to pick ourselves back up and get back into, the type of footy that we did want to play? So you've got to look at it, but then you've got to try and generate that enthusiasm again as well.
As I said, you can lose players because injuries happen. You can lose games. You can't lose belief or confidence. And I don't know, Cal, you've been in that Sydney inner sanctum. John Longmire, how does he approach something like this, a situation like this one?
I think they've got enough runs on the board this season to not walk in there Monday and be completely petrified of what they're going to see. knowing kind of, I guess I'm not involved anymore, but knowing kind of a little bit how they operate, they'd probably go through their trademark clips, which basically, to anyone out there, basically refers to how we want to play, what we value, and generally that's quite generic across the competition. Tackles, chases, things like going to ground, probably just effort-based moments. I think today they were very flat-footed. Their reaction times were very, very poor, and I think you'd probably judge that against probably what their actual, maybe their best game of the year and what that kind of looks like. But I think probably the hard bit is about the midfield at the moment. You've got 2 guys like Mills and Parker, and don't get me wrong, they've played enough footy. They're very, very good players, but they're probably mentally trying to figure out, well, if our best team comes together, where do I fit? Am I in the right form at the moment? Am I giving the team what they kind of want? Like Luke Parker started as the sub today. Very, very interesting decision to do that, particularly with the experience he had and I guess putting Corey Warner in front of him, and no disrespect to Corey at all, but you would have thought maybe going into this game, give Luke an opportunity to kind of set the scene for the team. We've lost a handful of games. He's one of our leaders. I thought that was a very interesting decision, but I think in a sanctum there, I think they'll definitely have a few hard conversations. But as you said, Sato, I think there's going to be a few moments there that a few boys wouldn't be too happy with. They were just going to ground a lot today, I felt.
Yeah. It feels like the pre-finals bye is going to be very handy for them because they'll still finish, you would think, top 2, home qualifying final. You'd think that's still extremely likely. So that they just seem like they've run out of a bit of mid-season petrol, or 3/4 of the way through the season petrol, where the bodies are just fatigued. Like James Rowbottom could have played this week if it was a final, but they thought, let's just give him an extra week. His body's gone through a lot the last season and a half. So they're trying to just get through this patch. I think today it just all fell apart. Grundy looked sore. Errol Goulden looked sore. Warner did nothing. So we'll wait and see if they can recover from that.
Let's head into the Swans rooms with Poppy Penny.
Yeah, guys, I've got Callum Mills down here in a very subdued Swans rooms. Callum, how do you reflect on that?
It was a very poor performance, really. We got smacked in the contest, and they did what they wanted with the ball. So, really poor from us.
One thing that's been spoken about a lot this year with the Swans is slow starts. It's cost you a couple of times, and in particular today. Have you guys spoken about it and addressed it as a group?
Yeah, we have. We have a lot, and we're really trying to sort it out. But at the moment, it's us as players to really sort it out. We're the ones out there, and we've really got to get on top of it.
What kinds of things can you do to change that momentum early in games?
We've just got to go out and hunt the opposition. Too many times they've come at us and we haven't responded, really.
What was the message from Coach John Longmire after the match?
Bit of everything, really. Our first quarters contest, and it's pretty hard to win a game when you get smacked around the ball like that. So, we'll pick ourselves up, we'll cop whatever comes our way, and we just got to get ready because we've got a 6-day turnaround and get back on the horse.
You guys have had such great momentum all year, been so dominant. We're at the back end of the season heading into September. How do you guys sort of regroup ahead of the next 4 weeks and then into finals?
See what we're doing wrong, work on it, get back to training, honest conversations and move forward that way.
In the rooms with Callum Mills in the Swans rooms, just throwing upstairs to Brett Sprigg, Daniel Garb, Jason Saddington and Cal Sinclair.
Callum, it's Jason Saddington, mate. Look, bad luck on today's game. Just to step into you for a second, obviously a couple of weeks back now, how are you in your build-up back to football and getting those couple of games under your belt?
Yeah, I'm going all right, Jace. Just ticking along, getting back into games, and today was obviously disappointing, and it's a hard pill to swallow, but it's not really about me. It's what we can do for the team.
And obviously, it looked a little bit flat out there today as a group. You being a leader, what does that sort of come back to you and the other leaders to try and get the group going again after that performance?
Yeah, it's just we can control our intensity in our fight, really, Jace. And we didn't do it today, and that's on us as players and leaders. And I'm sure it's something that we'll see during the week, and we'll train it, and we'll get back to it because that's the baseline of footy, really.
Millsy, Cal Sinclair here, mate. Mate, well done on getting back into the side, particularly after a big stint on the sidelines. Probably in that first quarter, to be honest, from a visual perspective, it just seemed like the Bulldogs just came out with a real intent and aggression. Did you feel like that kind of caught you on the back foot? Was it something that you expected from the Bulldogs?
Yeah, we did expect it, and we talked about it, and we wanted to do it, but we didn't really execute, to be honest. And it's pretty disappointing. It's happened a few times, well, a lot now, and it's something we really got to rectify.
What about, unfortunately for Lewis Melican, he had a super season, particularly we know with the injuries that he's had over the last few years. But do you have an update on where Lewis is at, and if you don't think he's going to be available next week, kind of who's the next person in line?
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just his hammy. I'm not sure how bad. Don't really have an update on that, but he's been so consistent for us all year. He's sort of goes under the radar outside of the four walls, but we really, value what he's done, and it's disappointing for Pell because he's put himself right back in the frame to play a lot of games, and hopefully we get him back really quickly. Not sure what the update will be or who will sort of replace him, so we'll work from there during the week.
Callum, appreciate your time. Hard luck today.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Callum Mills, Sydney Swans captain, with us on ABC Sport. So I guess if they do add a key back to that injury list, then they've got Aaron Francis. Joel Hamling's been playing forward in the VFL, but we've seen players swing forward and back a few times lately, so that's what's next up for them.
Yeah, you wonder if, considering there might be some changes this week, does Pete Laddams get a go just to maybe give them a bit of energy? If Brodie Grundy's struggling, does he need a week off? Could Pete Laddams get a run? And Angus Sheldrick's a young midfielder with a lot of talent who's back up and going in the VFL. You just wonder if they put a young player in there just to give them some energy at this part of the season where they seem to be lagging a bit now?
Knowing what John's like, I don't feel like he would want to rest players at this time of the season. I think if you looked at Brodie Grundy in isolation, he does look a little bit sore. He's done a fair bit of the load this year. Hayden McLean, rumours are he's a little bit sore as well. So I personally would give Pete maybe 1 week, maybe 2 weeks. It's a big decision because you do want to maintain your form and your consistency and your rhythm week to week going into finals. But I think with the injuries at the moment, it'd be a hard call to, I guess, rest guys at the moment, considering that the form they're in.
We're going to rest Cal for Canberra next week, the commentary team. So I'll get you to give the votes in the ABC Player of the Year in just a sec. But yeah, next up, Swans away to Port. That's Saturday night in Adelaide. Then Collingwood at home. That's the Friday night game here. Essendon away, Adelaide at home. That's the run home for the Sydney Swans, who have now lost 4 of their past 5. All right, who gets your 3 best, Cal?
Well, I'll kick it off with one vote, and this guy, he didn't light it up on the stats, but more for an effort and leadership perspective, and the way he started the game was fantastic with his intercept marking was Liam Jones. I just thought he was super throughout the day and definitely deserving to be in the votes today. 2 votes goes to my guy, Ugle-Hagan. I thought he was absolutely fantastic. His pressure around the ball and his attitude to hunt the opposition and tackle was absolutely superb, and he got rewarded with 4 goals. And the 3 votes today goes to none other than Adam Treloar. 40 disposals, 20 kicks, 20 handballs, 19 contested possessions, and as Garb said, you'd be very surprised if he didn't get draped with an All-Australian blazer.
Outright leader in the disposals count has been for much of this year, Adam Treloar, so he's the 3. 2 for Jamal Ugle-Hagan and 1 to Liam Jones in the ABC Player of the Year. Hawthorn are out by 47 now on the Crows, so that you can put that in the book. The final result of round 20 of this AFL season, Hawthorn lead that 14-8-92 to 6-9-45. That means that the ladder will be, as I say, Swans out by a game and a half on Brisbane, equal with Freo in 3rd, and then 4 teams on the same number of points. Carlton, GWS, Geelong and Port from 4th down to 7th. The Bulldogs are game behind there in 8th. Hawthorn now level with them, but sitting just outside the 8. It is extraordinary. Essendon playing for their season against Freo next week, if not already. Melbourne, likewise. They've got the Dogs. Collingwood also. They've got Carlton, massive game. Pendlebury's 400th at the MCG on Saturday night. That'll be a huge game next weekend. Gold Coast, still a possibility, as are St Kilda, but the Gold Coast are still dangerous despite their loss in the Q Clash. And then Adelaide, West Coast, North Melbourne, Richmond rounding things out in that bottom part of the ladder. That brings us to a close as well, gentlemen. Thank you very much to Callum Sinclair. We'll see you in Friday night footy a couple of weeks' time.
Thanks, Briggy, Garb, Sado.
Thank you, Sado.
Thank you. I'll make sure I bring the energy to Canberra that
you
Cal
always
week
do.
in, week out.
Yeah.
You always do. Thank you, Garby.
Hum for Canberra next week. Giants and the Hawks.
There he is.
What a game that's going to be.
That is a huge game.
Enormous now.
That is massive for both the Giants and the Hawks. So we'll look forward to that one as well here in our New South Wales ACT commentary team next week. Thanks for your company on ABC Sport. Thanks to our tech, Tegan Nichols. Probably Penny in the rooms and in the studio. Not in the studio, on the boundary. To Mel in the studio. And to you, most importantly, for your company as well. The Bulldogs emphatic in front of 36,000 here at the Sydney Cricket Ground. They have their biggest win, claim their biggest scalp of the year, and 3 wins in a row. The Dogs winners here by 39 points.
This is ABC Sports coverage of the 2024 AFL season. Every match on the ABC Listen app.
Look for the AFL button.
Williams will play on and kick it deep into attack. Norton will lead. Got a hand to it. Picked it up. Handball to Bontempelli. Oh, they'll just cruise it through Lockie McNeil. No pressure at all from the Swans deep in defence. That was like a training drill for the Bulldogs.
Adams pops it long inside 50. Heaney gets a hand pass off to Hayward, who can tumble it through. Karmas flew a little too early. Has worked through a couple of sets of hands, and in the end, Will Hayward obliges. Parker competes against Tilton. Snaps away from Jones. Still going here. Back to Hayward. Run down from behind by Ballydale. Footy comes loose. Back to Parker. Works it all the way back here. Adams to Goulden. Flying shot from 40. Is it there? You betcha! Well, the Swans are finding goals. Can they find enough of them? Caulfield Pops it back inside 50 here for the Bulldogs. Ugle-Hagan this time clunks a simple overhead grab. He was out in front of the pack. Here he is for his second of the afternoon. And again, makes no mistake, Jamara Ugle-Hagan to pull the game back on the Bulldogs' turf.
Bontempelli, clean handball to Garcia. And now Richards. Well done, Bulldogs, to bounce away from that contest. Richards drives them into attack. Norton couldn't mark. Paddles it towards Vandermeer. Handball over the top. Darcy will kick it from a couple of metres out. Fantastic football, Western Bulldogs.
Garcia back to Vandermeer, to Treloar, goes the fend on Goulden, tumbles his kick back inboard now on the bounce. It's there for Riley West. He can snap from the pocket as well. Riley West, they are kicking fantastic goals. This has been a real Dogs' day here in Sydney.
Back in after 3 weeks out, Liam Jones makes a good grab, sends the dog into attack again. Norton will leap for it. Got clean hands to it. Bontempelli roving on his left, snapping. It'll bounce through. The Bont with a beauty. And the Bulldogs have stunned the SCG early. Lawrence slaps it away, but Treloar gathers it inside attacking 50. Ugle-Hagan with the don't argue. Now on his right, looking for his fourth. He has got it. Jamara Ugle-Hagan taking matters into his own hands. Here's Caleb Daniel. Grubbers the kick to Liberatore. Bontempelli just palms off Campbell. A memorable win for the Western Bulldogs. They are into the top 8. They have slaughtered the Swans on their own deck to the tune of 39 points. And their surge towards the finals continues.
The 2024 AFL Premiership season.
On your radio.
ABC Sport Digital.
And on the ABC Listen app.